The Annie Frey Show is sponsored by Air Comfort Service, Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Not sure if you should repair or replace an aging air conditioner? Check out the free repair or replace tool from Air Comfort Service. Visit aircomfortservice.com/repair or replace.
Annie Frey, Ryan Wiggins, Brad Ray.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this America.
Now, your father's listening to the radio.
This is the Annie Frey Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Welcome to the Annie Frey Show. Happy Monday. Super excited to be with you back in the studio. And I have to say, I took a vacation last week, but it wasn't a vacation. It was a to-do list vacation. And I am so happy to have done that. And I'm so happy to be back here because I did a lot more. I probably did more work last week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, than I've done around the house in a long time. So while all this is going on, yes, I've been paying attention to the news, and I've been watching as the Democrat Party continues to, I'm just going to scoop you right now on my thoughts on today's poll, implode, an absolute implosion of the Democrat Party, but maybe you think differently. Is the Democrat Party exploding or imploding? You go to the Annie Frey YouTube live broadcast right now. In the live chat portion is where you will see the poll, and you can vote there and tell us what you think, because the Democrat Party is making a choice right now, entirely all in making a choice. And we're starting to see some voices. We're starting to see some people come out of it and say, wait a second, this is not for me. You've got the James Carville voices that have kind of been there, that have kind of been vocally opposed to the way that the current direction of the Democrat Party has been going. But I don't know, Ryan. I think James Carville just seems like a get off my lawn Democrat. He just seems hard to please on a regular basis.
Well, that's true, except that he does represent a lot of Democrats who have been lifelong committed, I would say, in the labor area, like very much in the blue collar kind of Democrat mold, and they don't know where to go. They don't want to become Republicans. James Carville doesn't want to become a Republican, but they are looking at the Democrat Party right now and going, this isn't anything I fought for my entire life.
To be in a position where you could entirely say, I am your Jill Biden's head guy, like chief of staff or whatever it was for Jill Biden, and that guy has come out and said, I'm not supporting El Sayed in Michigan. I'm not doing it. That's for United States Senate. We spent a lot of time talking about the Senate seat in Maine. We spent a lot of time talking about the one in Texas, although I refuse to believe that Texas is going to vote for Tallarico fairly, put it that way. But you look at Michigan, and now Michigan is potentially in play. That's not a conversation that the Democrats can really entertain if they have any thought in their head that they're going to take over the Senate come the midterm elections, which are 85 days away.
Oh, nice.
I heard that on the way, and I still need to set my countdown. Count up, count down.
Countdown.
It is a countdown. So if Michigan ends up going to Republican, I think it's been over 30 years since that's happened. And I saw this graphic on Fox News, and it was of the Democrat Party in Michigan and that Senate seat. 30 years ago, the Democrat was winning like plus 30. In the last two cycles, it's gone down to like maybe plus 2 and then plus a fraction of a point. So it's definitely trending in the way of moderate purple state, not, absolutely convicted this is going to be a Democrat seat no matter what. I mean, like, how many, you guys know that we're electing a Senate seat in Illinois, right? Dick Durbin. He's like the number 2 guy to Chuck Schumer in the Democrat Senate. And Dick Durbin's gone. Nobody's talking about it. We've had Don Tracy on the show. I support Don Tracy. Hope he wins. Not a realistic thought to think that Illinois is going to go red. Michigan going red changes the calculus in an incredible way in the United States Senate. The United States Senate needs to stay Republican. The House is where I'm like, I don't really know what's going to happen there. I feel strongly that the Republicans are going to retain the Senate. I think that the Republicans can retain the House too, but it really all comes down to the Democrats. That's why we're asking you today, is the Democrat Party exploding or imploding? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was on with John Carl on ABC's This Week, and she's talking about the origination kind of her coming onto the scene and she was a proud democratic socialist. Remember that? She was out there and she was using the word socialist in her conversations in a way that we were all like, what's she doing? What is she talking about? Why socialist? Bernie Sanders was the only other kook in the federal government who was willing to talk openly about being a socialist, to my knowledge. Was there anyone else? I don't think so.
Not really.
You've got Bernie Sanders and he's Mittens sitting there, and gosh, that was at Trump's inauguration, right? Where he was sitting there in his mitten. Or yeah, I think so. Remember?
Was it?
Wasn't it?
I was thinking that was before that, but I could be wrong.
You've got Bernie Sanders, who it's just kind of like when you let Grandpa just have a space and say what he wants to say. Do you know? It's like, okay, he's not going to change his mind. We're not going to move Grandpa Bernie into a direction here where he's like, oh, I see your point. That's not going to happen. So you just kind of let it go. You let it fester. That's just Grandpa being Grandpa. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez comes on the scene, and I'm going to use your all's words, you think she's hot, and she's a bartender, and she's in a position to like get attention and people stop and listen to what she has to say. And even though she talks like a millennial, because there's a lot of uptick in everything she says, which makes her sound stupider than the socialism, which is really hard to do. When you've got AOC coming on the scene and she's saying all these socialist things, her conversation this weekend on John Carl's show, ABC This Week, she said that she has a councilman friend in New York City who called Woke One, that says Woke One was crazy. Woke One was crazy. AOC is out there openly saying that the origination of woke onto the stage was actually pretty freaking crazy. When that's happening, when you know that AOC is saying that, then that whole conversation about the Overton window that often comes up, where you got to say some really crazy-ish out there in order to make the less crazy but still socialist things seem a little more palatable. That's where we are right now. Woke 2 doesn't happen if Woke 1 doesn't happen, and AOC knows that. Here's my big question for you, Ryan, and I don't know how much you've been paying attention to the news. How much do you know about the El Sayed? I always want to say Saeed, but it's actually Syed. How much do you know about this guy in Michigan?
Enough. I've been following it. I didn't think he was going to win, though. That was what was surprising, is that, he actually is the nominee.
I think a lot of people thought he was going to win by a lot more.
Okay.
He eked it out, but that was the best gift to the Republicans in Michigan was him barely skating in.
The one thing that I know the most about him is that the establishment Democrat Party was against him. He's the grassroots guy because he's the kind of nutty socialist. I think he's Muslim, but I don't know just based on his name. He's from Michigan, so that would make sense. But besides that, I know that he was not picked and there was not much money put behind him by the establishment Democrats because they know, here's where the party's going. We don't want it to go there this fast.
All eyes on him. It was Maine. It was Plattner in Maine, and that situation imploded. And then they replaced the Maine candidate by hand-picking them. It's like you really got a shot to do something incredible here, Democrats of Maine. You got a shot to pick somebody who can really give Susan Collins in Maine that run for her money. And you pick a guy who has 2 children with his second cousin.
Mm-hmm.
What? Are there any normie socialists around here that you can pick from? Any suggestions? Are there any people out there who are like hard on their sleeves, like, yeah, we should just share everything. We have so much wealth here that we should just share. That aren't inbreeding? I don't know. Is that wrong to say?
So yeah, and he's not married to her either.
Which is immoral. Wait. Real question. I don't know the answer to this. How far of a separation does it have to be inbreeding?
I think first cousin is not allowed.
But these are second cousins.
Second cousins is always, it depends. Are you talking about genetically
I'm not talking,
or socially?
I'm not talking. I'm talking I'm talking
Legally?
about the definition of the word inbreeding. At what point are you like, I think you're in the clear? I don't think it's second cousin.
I'm not sure about second cousins. Second cousins is a real gray area. And I think that candidate knew that. And he's like, let's have some babies. Just test the theory. He's a scientist. That he's just testing it.
No, I think he's the scientist. I think this is more Fauci, the science. That's what it feels like to me. In Michigan, you've got a guy, like, I'm going to be just completely honest with you folks. I had no idea who Hassan Piker was until recently. Hassan Piker, you might have heard that name. He's like a Twitch guy. You don't know what Twitch is. We're on Twitch. And you don't know what Twitch is.
We don't know what Twitch is.
We're not even 100% sure. We're only on Twitch because Ryan couldn't stop talking about vaccines and COVID and virus stuff when that was going on, and we kept getting kicked off YouTube. Thanks for the Twitch introduction.
You're welcome. We had to also move to Rumble.
Yes. Not today.
We mentioned, we were talking about it.
That's not happening today. We'll be on Rumble shortly, though, now because Ryan suggested it. We'll do that as well. This Hassan Piker guy is a lunatic, and it really gets under my skin, and I think it probably gets under your skin as well, that there is even the conversation in the national discussion surrounding politics that has to do, like, when you talk about September 11th and you're American, that's where we're still all in lockstep, right? That 9/11 is the worst day in American history in most of our lived lives. Is there a worse day? I mean, the only way that I could say that might not be true for you is if you were alive during Pearl Harbor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that. Correct me if I'm wrong. 314-241-9797. Text Ryan and tell him where I'm wrong. Is there a worse lived day in American history for all of us who are alive right now, who are alive then? Is there a worse day? I don't know that there is. And Hassan Piker is this loser who's on Twitch talking to people about how 9/11 was something that America deserved. And Hassan Piker is campaigning openly and comfortably with El Sayed in Michigan. And I'll play the clip for you in a little bit here. When you have El Sayed being asked this weekend on MSNBC, Emma's Now, when you have him being asked, like, are you going to continue campaigning with him? His response is repeatedly, I'm more interested in the people I'm campaigning to. Yeah, it's the same question. It's the same question to you, Dip Scoop. I don't know why this guy thinks that he can talk out of both sides of his mouth to the American people, not say, no, 9/11 was the worst day in American history, and anybody who has to say anything differently, I don't want to be associated with and attached. Condemn this guy for his moronic behavior and do it now, but he won't do it. That should say something to you. And now you've got people on the Democrat side of the aisle coming out and openly saying, I'm supporting the Republican in Michigan. That's a big deal. The question is, though, does that mean that the Democrat Party is imploding or exploding? Or maybe it's staying stagnant? Do you have a midterm? Do you have a midterm thought right now?
Yeah, my midterm thought is that I thought the Republicans were going to lose pretty badly, and Democrats have done absolutely nothing to take advantage of it. So it's a weird position to be in because Republicans have not really made an enormous case right now to the voters, but neither have Democrats. Democrats have done nothing with their advantage.
It's almost like the Democrats have taken this opportunity. The end zone is right in front of them, and they picked the ball up and said, we're running as fast as we can the other way.
It's weird.
And everyone's like, I think we should let them go.
They really just had to sort of hold the line. And then they went as far left as they could.
Yeah.
And it's turning people off.
Well, the midterms, 85 days away. We've got all your coverage here. When we come back, Dr. Mark Siegel on Cyclospora. Jalapenos. Did you have any jalapenos at Walt Disney World this past week?
No, but I did have Cyclospora.
Oh, no. Good thing, though. The jalapenos would have been great. We'll be back with Dr. Mark Siegel next. Don't go away.
No, I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you want to play tough and want to hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up. No, I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you want to play tough and want to hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up. No, I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you want to play tough and want to hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Vinyl Shield is engineered to outlast paint by a lot, backed with our 25-year transferable warranty. Paint a house, shield a home. We do brick, block, stucco, asbestos, steel, aluminum, cedar, and more. We are the only coating company selected by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where all 3 episodes concentrate on unpainted brick. If you maintain or own a business with a tired-looking building, you owe it to yourself to look at Rhino Shield and our beautifully durable color schemes. Evaluations are free. We're making buildings pop and be noticed again, from Champaign to the Lake of the Ozarks, exceeding expectations every day with our products, people, and performance. Now is the time to call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or go to 877-25rhino.com and see how honest and transparent we really are. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Suffering from knee pain, hip pain, shoulder pain, or tennis elbow caused by arthritis, inflammation, or an injury? STL Joint Relief, now open in St. Peter's, offers a non-surgical, non-narcotic solution that can provide lasting relief. Using advanced ultrasound guidance, we pinpoint the exact source of your pain, allowing for precise treatment that targets the problem, not just the symptoms. Best of all, STL Joint Relief accepts all insurance. Learn more and schedule your appointment at stljointrelief.com.
License number GL250000615.
You're cooking dinner. The lights go out. You flip the breaker and forget about it.
But what if it keeps tripping?
Trips once, your breaker's doing its job. Keeps tripping? That's a warning. Bad wiring or something worse.
Do people just keep flipping it?
Most do, until they can't anymore.
Call Grasser. We'll stop the trip.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's best eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Annie Frey is St. Louis conservative.
The growing salmonella outbreak, which has sickened more than 340 people. It's voluntarily recalling 20 products made with fresh jalapenos. The recalled products include dips and salsas, were distributed across 26 states to major retailers and restaurant chains, including Chipotle, Target, Walmart, Kroger's, and Trader Joe's. In a statement, Taylor Farms says affected products include spicy guacamole, mango pico de gallo, taco dip, and more than a dozen other products. Taylor Farms says the recall comes after Coast Citrus Distributors voluntarily recalled its fresh jalapenos due to potential salmonella contamination. In a statement, Taylor Farms says it is, quote, no longer sourcing from this farmer and that the company isn't aware of any reported illnesses linked to its products containing jalapenos. The voluntary recall comes after the company was linked, of course, to a large outbreak of Cyclospora, a parasite that causes severe stomach illness. We've asked the retailers for comment and have not heard back.
So there's a report there on the latest Cyclospora concern. Yes, we have been avoiding lettuce in my house, and it sucks because we are salad-eating people. And now we are looking at avoiding jalapenos as well. I don't know that this is good medical advice, and I am not here to provide it for you. But we do have Dr. Mark Siegel on the show with us, senior medical analyst for Fox News, clinical professor of medicine, and practicing internist at NYU Langone Medical Center. Dr. Siegel, thank you for being on with us today. It's good to have you on about this particular subject.
I'm interested to hear why you like jalapenos so much. You like the spice?
Yes, it just, gives you that little extra kick when you're eating something especially tasty. We had guacamole over this past week, and my husband makes great guacamole. And then after he put some jalapenos in there, I heard about the Taylor Farms jalapeno situation. What's your medical advice for us who like to eat good produce right now? Where do we go? What do we do?
Well, first of all, we shouldn't panic because fear always drives irrational reactions. So the chances that you would get the Cyclospora from eating lettuce is very low, just using statistics. But also, if you were to buy Whole Foods and actually buy a head of lettuce or even some jalapenos locally, you're not going to get it at all. Then it's a zero risk. And that speaks to two issues. One, bringing it all back home, and two, going to whole food, which, Maha's been emphasizing, and I agree with both of those points. The third issue is what's going on in Mexico. This is the time of year we tend to import it, and you have to understand that we're packaging stuff that's grown one place, packaged somewhere else. I mean, poor Taylor Farms is taking the hit on all of this. But they're not the only ones doing this. They're just the only ones that have been caught with their hands in a cookie jar here. You got to wonder if down there in Mexico the cartels could be playing a role indirectly, disrupting trade. I mean, it's not a pretty situation.
Yeah, Dr. Siegel, I think I heard that on the Big Weekend show on Fox News this past weekend, and just the conversation about the growing conditions, the harvest conditions in Mexico. I've been at a few family gatherings over the last week, and people are bringing produce, and they're all going, "It's from our garden," which I thought is actually kind of refreshing to know that you're eating stuff out of the local soil there. So you're saying that if it's locally grown, or if it's not, are all of these cases being traced back to Mexican farming habits?
Yeah, but the problem is that once they get into our system and, they pass through us, so to speak, and they go into the soil, then a couple of weeks later they could get into the water and into produce more locally. And there is some of that going on, but that's something that our health departments can track, and that's not going to last more than another couple of weeks. We don't see this. We don't even usually see it in August. This is one of the worst. But we're certainly not going to see it as things cool down in September. This is a hot weather climate bug. It doesn't even get past your intestinal wall, actually. It just causes a lot of diarrhea, and you're seeing some hospitalizations because people are immunocompromised. I can treat this with antibiotics if I figure it out early enough. And the other tool we have that we didn't have before is the ability to test for it in the hospital, in the lab.
Oh. So if someone is getting sick, you can determine that it is or is not Cyclospora.
I do a 21-panel PCR test of stool now. I can tell you exactly what this is. And yes, Cyclospora is part of it.
Oh. Dr. Siegel, my mom was a microbiologist, and I think it was like second grade. She brought in not samples of what you're talking about, but I've grown up understanding parasites and tapeworms and all that stuff, and it's coming in handy right now with my baseline understanding of what we might be dealing with. If people think that they're experiencing something, because of course the diarrhea is something that a lot of people are hearing about. If people are experiencing certain types of symptoms, do you have advice on what their next steps should be immediately following?
Yeah, drink water. I mean, well, first of all, if you're experiencing symptoms like diarrhea, you got to let your physician know or health practitioner know. And then the whole game is replacing water and electrolytes, not just water, because that's what you're going to see. If you had fever, it's going to be very low grade, and that's what I'm most worried about is dehydration, especially in this weather. It's still hot.
Oh, gosh, it's hot here in the Midwest, that's for sure. Dr. Siegel, before we go, I did want to ask you, there's a lot of news coming out here lately with MAHA. They're still, full speed ahead. You mentioned Whole Foods and people needing to get to eating whole foods. This might be a silly question, but I think in order for a lot of folks to understand the MAHA conversation, if they're new to it, can you just explain to me what a whole food is and what it's not?
Well, what it's not is something can't even recognize the ground it was grown in. That's something that's got so many chemicals in it and so much, we call it ultra processed for a reason. It's got high fructose corn syrup. It's got chemicals. It's got a lot of sugars in different forms. It's got dyes. That's the thing I'm most wanting to stay away from. But I'm also adding to the docket today the idea of mixing foods that are grown in one state and then are processed and sent to another state. And there are additives there too, not to the same extent. I'm trying to focus back on the growers, on the farmers, and I'm bringing it back to getting it from your local farmer. I recognize, by the way, that may be more expensive. So I don't really there's people that can't afford to do that.
Sure. And that's something that I think that a lot of people are at least looking into right now, growing their own produce and going to the local farmers market. That's always wonderful.
By the way, I got to add something. Kennedy today is coming out with, he's trying to attack generally recognized as safe. And I've interviewed him about this exact issue, and he's always said that it would take an act of Congress. It's probably supposed to take Congress, but I'm actually really happy that he's trying to involve the FDA in that. Can you imagine a food manufacturer can put out any crap they want and say, this is safe? That's the current system.
Yeah, that's the current system, and it absolutely needs to be changed. Dr. Siegel, thank you for talking to us about this issue, giving us the facts of the matter, and hopefully we get over this quickly. You said maybe the colder weather will calm it down a little bit?
There's no question about it. It goes away in September, no question.
All right. Well, we hope to talk to you again soon, Dr. Siegel. Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Take care. Bye-bye. I have a great fear. I think my daughter told me that my mother-in-law said, like, I think Annie's kind of blowing the Cyclospora thing out of proportion. She goes, but then I remembered 6 people, 3 toilets. Then she goes, now I get it. Give us your thoughts on the Cyclospora at 314-241-9797 and answer while you're there the poll question. If you want to text us your thoughts, is the Democrat Party exploding or imploding? You can text us and, of course, vote on the Annie Frey YouTube live chat poll. More after this. Don't go away. So over the weekend, we had several opportunities to get together with family. And I've heard from multiple people who have gone to Civia Law and used Todd Civia for various things, which made me really excited. One of them went there because I recommended them personally, go see Todd Civia. And the other one just happened to go to them because they needed to do business and they got recommended by somebody else to go to see Civia Law about the needs that they had. I can't tell you enough how much of an expert Todd Civia is at estate planning, at establishing your trust, at getting you the will in place that you need, especially those powers of attorney. And right now, middle of August, you got kiddos going to college. And my heart goes out to you. I could do a whole show on the emotion wrapped up into that moment. I know it's tough. But something you need to do is make sure that you have the powers of attorney to help them if they have health needs, if they've got medical needs, if they've got money needs. Work with Todd Civia and get that established so that you are in a position to not have to worry about that anymore. If you're one of the first 10 callers right now, establishing a trust with Todd Civia, 833-995-WILL. That's 833-995-WILL. Todd Civia is ready to take your phone call. And if you're one of the first 10 and you mention my name right now, you're going to get a free strategy session on the jump. You can learn everything you need to know at civialaw.com.
Public schools, like public libraries, should be free and open to all. Open enrollment allows parents to choose the school that's the best fit for their children. Maybe another school has a wider curriculum, is bigger or smaller. Maybe a kid is being bullied and would be more comfortable at another school. 75% of parents favor open enrollment. Open enrollment programs now exist in 43 states, and Missouri should join them. Our next-door neighbor, Kansas, has one of the strongest open enrollment policies in the nation. Kansas parents are trusted with choices and options, while Missouri parents must move out of their home to change public schools. And it's a trend. Nationwide, the percentage of students going to their chosen public school has steadily increased. Assigning kids to schools based on their zip code is the old way. Open enrollment is a better way. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Our YouTube live chat poll today, is the Democrat Party exploding or imploding? And then the options you have are both
I love doing this right after the Cyclospora conversation.
Exploding?
Yeah.
Or imploding?
Man, that might muddy the waters, if you know what I mean. Exploding?
I do know what you mean.
Exploding?
I do know what you mean when you talk about it in terms of diarrhea. Yeah. The two options are exploding, imploding, or stagnant. So let us know of those three which you think the Democrat Party is right now, and maybe you disagree with all of them. Either way, you can leave a comment by texting 314-241-9797 or looking us up on the live stream. It is 12:33. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
JerryKelly.com. From Collinsville to Chesterfield, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Mark, you worked with Bill Clinton. How are Democrats dealing with this political collision?
Well, look, this is a political implosion of the Democratic Party. To have your Senate nominees, and I agree with Senator Fetterman, palling around with Hassan Piker anti-American, anti-Semitic, anti-capitalist, really the most extreme kind of policies which are anathema to Bill Clinton Democrats, right, who were trying to bring the country together, move it forward, get rid of poverty, balance the budget, do those great things for America. So this party is veering off of the rails. Will it come back? It's frankly going to take the Republican and independent voters to bring it back and to show where America really stands.
Mark Penn, a former Clinton advisor, talking about how Republicans are going to have to save the Democrat Party. I wrote a Substack on this last week, and then all this stuff started to come out. Has nothing to do with my Substack. I don't even have, I haven't even published it for everybody. It's published, but nobody knows about it. That's fine. But the idea that the Democrat Party is in an entire state of reformation right now, it's all credit to Donald Trump. If you listen to Mark Penn, what he's saying right now, and the only thing that worries me about these people coming to their senses right now, like Mark Penn, he was a Clinton advisor, and he's come out and he's not like a Republican or anything, but he's criticized the Democrats before, so it's not unusual. He's been on the show as well. But Donald Trump is like, okay, Ryan, when we first met Donald Trump, and who was your primary candidate? Who'd you love?
In 2016? I actually ended up voting for Cruz, even though he wasn't. I didn't have a strong candidate. I liked Rubio.
Ted Cruz is the first Optimus robot. That guy's so smart, but he kind of looks a little robot-y.
Well, the reason I did it was because by the time we got to Illinois, which was pretty far into the line,
he was the only one that wasn't
He was
Trump.
the only non-Trump. And I thought Trump couldn't win. I didn't dislike him.
Same.
I just didn't think he could win.
What about Fruit Ninja guy?
No.
John Kasich.
No.
Hey,
I was never on that train.
Go back and watch the debates. And Fruit Ninja was a big deal at the time. I think he just kind of got ahead of himself. You go to like an arcade these days, and they've got a big Fruit Ninja screen.
Oh, yeah. Fruit Ninja's a good game.
You good at it?
No.
I was going to say I could beat you at it, but I'm not good at it either.
It's not a tough game, but it's also it's frustrating.
All I can think about when you're at an arcade and you're playing Fruit Ninja on a 60-inch screen is how many kids have picked their nose and then tried to slice fruit.
Yeah, because you're touching the screen.
Oh, gosh.
It's not like motion tracking.
I was a Marco Rubio 2016 supporter and have been ever since. I love him. I think he will be incredible for the country, but Donald Trump has done something to our nation's politics and to preserving the idea of America in a way that I don't think Marco Rubio could have done at that time, for such a time as this, one might say. But Donald Trump in 2016 is on the scene, and he completely reshapes the Republican Party because you, like me, Ryan, were like, this guy can't win. And I don't even know how conservative he would be.
Yeah, that's also true.
Like, to me, it was like, okay, you're not Hillary. I mean, come the general presidential election, not being Hillary is the only qualification at that point that I really needed to say, fine, I'll vote for you. Which is funny that now the Democrats that are out there are the exact same way about Trump. Anything but Trump. I understand it from a policy standpoint if you've got other policies to offer, but they don't have other policies to offer until now. Their policy offering is socialism. And the reason why the loud socialists early on, the AOCs of the world, Ryan, were able to say what they were saying as boldly as they did, especially in a time where like the influencer culture, like across the board, not just in politics, but like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was doing that before anybody else was doing that in elected politics. But people would look at her and be like, that's cute. That's really serious. This woman is suggesting that America should be socialist. She's a Democrat socialist, and she's not even like hiding it. It's not part of the Oppo research that one time AOC was a member of the New York chapter of the Democratic Socialists of America. Wait till we release this one. She led with that. The reason why that has been able to metastasize in the Democrat Party the way it has is because anything that is common sense, that is middle of the road, that is moderate, might rub elbows with a Trump policy, and no Democrat, up until this point in time, wants to be seen anywhere near elbow rubbing with Donald Trump. It's the worst thing that could happen to the Democrat Party, is that they look like they're aligning with Donald Trump. If that's the worst thing that can happen to a Democrat candidate elected official, party member, pundit, if the worst thing is to be associated in any way, shape, or form with Donald Trump, then you have to not have America be your priority. You can't do both things at the same time.
It's very true. I mean, that is the reason why this far left portion of the Democrat Party, which has grown and grown and grown, has been allowed to take control, is that anybody in the middle has to move left to get away from Trump, because Trump's policies are actually pretty middle. I mean, they're fairly conservative
Very
now, but he's just not he's not a Reagan conservative. He's a populist. And so a lot of the stuff that you could find common ground on, you could find with Trump, except that they won't, because it's Trump. The other reason, though, is that there is a real sense in which when you ask a middle Democrat, because we're going to talk about this a lot today and a lot of other days up until the midterm, surely, and maybe even beyond that there's like this two factions within the Democrat Party. There's the establishment, and then there's the far left, and there's socialists. But if you look at the policies of the establishment and ask them, especially economically, what are you advocating for? It's basically socialism.
Yep.
Even the establishment can't come up with anything other than socialism. They won't call it that, but that's what it is, and that's what they've been doing for years. They just won't call it that. The big news is that you have half of the party now who's like, yes, we are socialists, but they've been doing the same thing.
They would never, ever, ever have had the room to admit that if there was still a strengthened, moderate portion of the Democrat Party that was not afraid of being not necessarily even on the same page, but in the same book that Donald Trump is currently writing with his presidency. They've all thought it. They've all thought, somebody just said, Anna Paulina Luna tweeted out this morning or last night, I think it was this morning, that she just found out that the Democrats in the House, now this is a tweet from her, so subjective in that capacity, that she just found out that the Democrats are not going to support their cap, their 2% interest cap on student loans. You got Republicans trying to pass a 2% interest rate on student loans, and the Democrats are not interested in participating in it because it will make the Republicans look like the good guys on student loans.
So they don't care about real good policy or helping people. It's the way people look, the way they look.
Yes, if you're in the Anna Paulina Luna camp, then you're in the MAGA camp or in the Trump camp, which is funny because she does not have a problem standing up against, not up against, but offering other avenues or options. Yes. This is the type of situation where the Democrats, they know that it's good for America. They know that it would be good for students, and they need that student loan lobby to support Democrats and think that the Republicans are completely and totally against the students and money-grubbing little jerks in Washington, D.C., that if they were to pass this policy, that it would look like a win for the Republicans, so they don't want to be involved in any of it. And in that world, when you've got common sense people who kind of understand there's a win here for the American people, but the loss is bigger for the Democrat Party to say that Donald Trump got something right, we have to keep our mouths shut. There's a lot of moderate Democrats. There are a lot of people in Washington, D.C. who have a Venn diagram that intersects with something that President Trump is doing. But they won't speak on it, but they're going to have to speak on it right now because the people who never had a problem with being quiet, the people out there who never had an issue with saying what they think and working to get the attention to try to get the American people to pay attention to what they're doing, they've been shouting from the rooftops this entire time. They've been loud and proud about saying, yeah, we're democratic socialists. I always think it's interesting that the adjective is democratic, the noun is socialists. Pay close attention to that. To me, that matters. Grammar. But we're in a position as a country where we're watching 50% of our political parties embrace socialism because the 50% of that political party is too scared to speak up because they don't want the orange man to get a point on the scoreboard. We're seeing more of it, though. 85 days to the midterms. Is it too late? Can they get their act together? Because in Michigan, that primary has happened. You want to vote for the Democrat? The Democrat Party in Michigan is represented by a socialist. That's just the way it is. You can tell us in the live chat poll on YouTube, is the Democrat Party exploding or imploding? You can also vote stagnant. You go to youtube.com/@AnnieFrey and vote in the live chat. You can also text us your thoughts at 314-241-9797 on the Annie Frey Show text line. Wiggins America Monday Roundup next. Stewart's American Mortgage. Google the bagel loan if you want to find out more info about what Stewie can do for you. He is great at taking your mortgage situation, putting you in a place where you can move into that new home purchase or even a mortgage refinance and feel really good about the outcome. The bagel loan is such that you can get that new mortgage loan or you can get a refinance and pay nothing in closing costs. I think the closing costs, like you're buying a house and it's really exciting and you're signing documents. The closing costs are kind of like the little the burr in your giddy up. What's the phrase? Is that what it is, Ryan? My Western reference?
Yeah, it's burr in your giddy up.
I know there's a hitch in your giddy up. There's a burr in your shoe. I don't know. Where would you not like to have a burr?
Yeah, no, you got it right. The first one was a burr and a giddy up.
That's well. Then I have wasted some time. Well, Stewie will get rid of that burr for you happily with the bagel loan.
Get you back into your giddy up.
That's right. You need to be in your giddy up with your new mortgage. Everybody talks about giddy up and mortgage all the time. Right. You've heard it everywhere. 314-324-4440. It's 314-324-4440. He's waiting for your phone call. Use the best guy in the business and understand that he is working for you. I'm a 2-time customer myself. Very glad to know him. Very glad to recommend him. Give Stewie a call. 314-324-4440. Google the bagel loan. NMLS number 226715.
Returns in years, it's time to call the Landstory Law Firm and finally resolve your tax issues. Remember, if you have tax problems, you have legal problems. Call the Landstory Law Firm. Our office is right here in St. Louis. Or call 314-260-6120 or visit landstorylaw.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Landstory Law Firm.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
For over 25 years, Styles Clothing Company has been serving the St. Louis community, and they're just getting started. They offer custom screen printing, embroidery, and promotional items for sports teams, schools, businesses, family reunions, and special events. Quality products and service guaranteed. Styles Clothing Company would like to thank all of its customers. Call now and mention you heard this commercial on this station for 15% off for the month of August. Styles Clothing Company. Call 314-831-6559 or go to stylesclothing.com.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
Tony LaRussa here. Men, are you running out of stamina rounding third base? If so, call my friends at Victory Men's Health in O'Fallon, Illinois. Scoring at home is important, just as important as crossing the plate with the winning run. VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Monday Roundup! This here's the wildest ride in the wilderness!
Welcome back from the wildest ride in the wilderness, sort of.
Thank you very much. I did
Sorry.
not ride that ride or go to that park,
Yeah.
but we were in the area.
My condolences on having to come back and make money so you can go again.
I know. It's, staying in a luxurious environment, regardless of parks.
One day you'll be able to pronounce luxurious.
I was going to say luxury, but instead I said luxurious. It sounded better.
Luxurious.
It's supposed to sound better in my
That's
head.
like luxury with an ESS on the end.
Exactly.
Welcome back.
So thank you very much. We are all back here. Well, Ethan's not back, actually, but we're close. So the first story from the weekend that you may have missed if you were like me and not paying attention to the news much this weekend and catching back up today.
Good for you.
Is that MySpace is maybe coming back.
Ooh.
Have you seen this?
Is anybody on this show a top friend of yours?
No. I don't think that I've ever checked MySpace since I've worked here.
I tried to find my old MySpace, but they scrubbed everything.
No, really? Oh, no.
I don't think it's there.
I had some videos up there that I was hoping to get someday.
My first job in radio I worked for 590 The Fan at KFNS back in the day, in the mid-2000s. Started radio in 2006. This is like right now, my 20th anniversary of being in radio, which is crazy. I've only worked at 2 stations or 2 companies. But I board opt for KRFT 1190, which was a sister station. It was a board as half as big as the one we have in the studio right now. It was all syndicated when I started running it, and I don't think anyone knew it existed. I spent at least 50% of my time in that little studio room on MySpace. Just looking at MySpace.
Uh-huh.
I miss it.
MySpace was nice. I've looked into to see why they are making MySpace again. I guess 2 of the original owners, Tim and Chris Vanderhook, announced plans to relaunch MySpace, but there's been like 4 different CEOs.
Who was
it?
Was Tim the head?
It wasn't Tim. I thought the same thing when I read it. I'm like, oh, was Tim the guy? No, it was Tom for MySpace.
I was thinking Tim was closer.
So it's not him, but it is Tim and Chris Vanderhook, whoever they are. They was probably real early on here. They are owners of it again, and they want to relaunch it. Now, I can't tell you. It doesn't say really exactly what they're doing.
I want to know what itch that MySpace scratches that's not being scratched right now.
Here's what they said about it. Because, I don't know what the platform's going to look like. I don't know exactly what they're seeking here. But the one thing they said that their angle is going to be is that they will not use the almighty algorithm. They're just going to let it play out. If you have friends, you're going to see that stuff.
What if you don't have friends?
Then you're not going to see much on there, and you won't want to get on there.
That's how you find out.
But they said that they're not going to use, all this sophisticated stuff that all the other socials are using now that make it almost just like reading the same, like all of us are probably reading 80% of the same stuff on Twitter if it's the For You page, because we follow a lot of the same people and the algorithm finds us to be in categories. Yeah. But that's not going to be the case on MySpace. So
that is attractive.
It is kind of attractive.
Because that to me sounds like something that's trying to replace consumption as opposed to add to it. Because I don't think people need another thing.
Remember when Facebook announced that they were going to change what you saw in your feed? Like, you might not always see what your friends posted.
Oh, completely.
That was horrible.
I think maybe 25% of the content that I see is what my friends are doing. And it's always like these random people from 15 years ago in my life who I never was really close to but happened to be Facebook friends with. It's like, I want to...
Yeah, your close friends, they may post something that's just text, like, just went to Starbucks, they just changed the menu. And you're like, I would actually like to see that my friend Ty said that.
Yeah.
But you don't see that stuff.
Shout out to Ty.
Hi, Ty.
Hi.
Next story is that McDonald's sales in the U.S. are slowing. But this headline sounds like spin to me. After deal fatigue. Oh, they're putting out too many deals. That's why people aren't going there. Okay.
Don't you hate it when you go to get a deal and you're like, that's expensive?
Well, that too.
Like, I don't even feel like I'm getting a deal here.
That too.
I think I'm being baited.
The spin of this article is that McDonald's is starting to suffer, and they have been for the last year or so, because they are offering too many deals and they're relying on the app too much and all that stuff, and the buy one, get one for $1 and all these things.
How much? Like,
instead of just having a menu that's cheaper.
What if you just had a monthly $1 item?
Well, they don't even have a $1 menu anymore.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's got to be something that you're making for less than $1 that can be the hook to bring people in that are still going to buy their $12 value meals.
You know what? And make it doesn't even have to be a monthly thing. Make it drinks. Make it to where your medium soda is $1 again.
Can't you get a soda for $1 at McDonald's?
Not unless it's a real tiny one.
They let you have a sip.
It's a thimble.
And it's also community soda. They just stick the cup out with a straw and they're like, go ahead, it's be $1.
Well, they're taking that away too. They're taking all the self-service away.
The best deal they had.
In the restaurants, because they said people are just coming in and hanging out way too long. But yeah, that's the problem with McDonald's right now is they've gotten to this area again where the menu is getting complicated. And it's slowing down the drive-through because everybody's looking and going, oh, I got to buy one of these, and then I can get one of these for $1, and it takes too long. And
Brad, are you a deal culture guy?
Deal culture?
No.
I want what I want.
Yeah, I'm just going to get it. The hassle to save is not worth the effort, or not worth the saving, so I don't chase deals. If I see a good deal, I'll take it, but I want what I want.
If Ryan sees a bad deal, he'll take it.
Sometimes. Yeah, it's a I'm not proud of that.
Yeah, you're pretty proud
No,
of it.
I'm not proud
you
of
tell
that.
everybody.
No,
You
I'm not proud of that.
You tell everybody about the deal you got, good or bad, just like girls talk about pockets and dresses.
Okay, by the way,
Yeah, it
this is
happens.
probably a good X's and Y's question, but I'm going to ask it right now anyway.
Write it down.
When somebody compliments your shirt, do you have to say what you paid for it?
In the Midwest.
Yeah, that's
No,
what
you
I'm
just
saying.
have to explain that you got a really good deal on it. It's humble. I'm not a fancy person, don't have fancy things.
That's a Midwest woman, right?
A good woman.
Good. I'm glad to hear that because I've never met a woman who doesn't do that.
Ryan, that's a beautiful dress. Oh, thank you. It has pockets. That is a conversation that happens a billion times every day in the Midwest.
That does not happen. I don't know any women named Ryan. You're not referring to me, obviously.
I literally know a woman named Ryan.
Do you really?
Yes,
Is it
she's great.
R-I-A-N?
No.
Is it Chappelle Ryan?
I'm not gonna spell this person's name who has no.
Spell their last name and social security. Just quick. We only
Anyway.
have like a minute.
Moving on.
Last story is that a judge has denied the Trump administration access to Illinois' voter data. A judge in
I wouldn't
Springfield.
want people to see it either.
That's right. I mean, that's probably what's going on here. Illinois is not required to hand over its complete unredacted voter registration data, including sensitive personal information. You can tell where this is coming from. It's NPR. To the Trump administration. In a 14-page opinion, Judge Colleen Lawless reached the same conclusion. I did not make the name up. Reached the same conclusion as judges in 18 other federal districts and one appellate circuit and you know who these are, they're all on the left, have ruled in nearly identical cases. She found that the Civil Rights Act of 1960 does not give U.S. attorney generals power to demand voter data. I can't believe this hasn't gone up to the Supreme Court yet. It'll have to.
Yet.
Exactly right.
We shall see. All right. Thank you for the Monday
There you go.
Roundup. Steve Moore is going to be with us when we return. We're going to get an update on the economy and also, like, how bad would socialism be if some of these people touting socialism got elected? How much effect could it have on your economy and my economy on the daily? Steve Moore next. Trace Gallagher at 1:30. We'll be right back.
Doing home remodeling for 30 plus years, but the economy crashed. I wound up losing my home, losing my job, and on top of that, owing the IRS a ton of money. I owed the IRS $114,000. It really, truly was the worst part of my life.
Then Mark found tax relief advocates.
On news radio, I heard about TRA, and I thought, what's the worst that could happen? So I picked up the phone and I called them. When it was all said and done, TRA settled my $114,000 debt for $100, and I'm telling you, I was ecstatic. Could not believe it. Would recommend TRA to anyone.
If you owe 10 or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS, don't lose hope. Do what Mark did and call TRA for a consultation.
But TRA did. They gave me a second chance, and I'm forever grateful.
Visit TRA.com or call 800-491-9914. 800-491-9914. That's 800-491-9914.
Home Shield Foundation Repairs.com. That's the website for you to go check out and get that basement waterproofed once and for all. You want to talk to Matt Hayes. He's ready to take that phone call. He'll come visit you at your home and he will check out what you got going on. So if you got a lot of water coming in, maybe it's something new that you've discovered and you have no idea how long it's been doing that. That sucks, and everybody knows it sucks, and so does Matt Hayes. But you want somebody who's going to fix it right the first time, don't you? Matt Hayes is ready to do that, and he can give it a look and give you an estimate and give you all the information you need to know from the jump so that you go into that project knowing it's going to be done right the first time with all the information you need to understand that full project. You can call him at 314-271-9900. That's 314-271-9900, and tell him Annie sent you. He's going to be looking forward to your call. He's going to be great to work with. And I think you'll find all the reviews online very helpful as well. For your wet basement, comes with a lifetime warranty to fix it. You can visit him online right now at HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go. And that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
Counter demand in talks with Iran. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. President Trump says compensation will now be part of any and all future negotiations.
In a social media post, the president says Iran is asking for compensation for damage done to the country during U.S. airstrikes. President Trump says he is now demanding compensation from Iran for people killed or wounded by roadside bombs and other terror attacks. He also says compensation should be paid to the families of hundreds of thousands of innocent protesters killed by the Iranian regime. In an interview with Axios, the president described current talks with Iran as low-key, suggesting he'll continue to apply economic pressure.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. At this hour, an Oval Office ceremony is planned for Todd Blanche to be sworn in as Attorney General, winning Senate confirmation over the weekend after serving as acting AG. Colombia's government declaring a national emergency after a powerful earthquake now blamed for more than 70 deaths, a number that's been rising quickly in the past few hours.
The 7.4 magnitude quake hit the Chocó region of western Colombia. Deaths have been reported in cities including Pereira and Manizales. Buildings have collapsed in Quibdó and Cali, with residents and rescue workers trying to find anyone who might be trapped in the rubble.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. Secretary of State Marco Rubio posting the Trump administration stands ready to support the people of Colombia. ICE says all immigration enforcement agents will have body cameras by the end of this month.
The action follows the deadly shootings last month of 2 people, one in Maine and another in Texas, by ICE agents. Neither incident was caught on a body camera.
Fox's Gernal Scott, the now former DHS secretary, had said the devices would be deployed as funding allowed after 2 deaths in Minnesota in January. The acting ICE director says the agency will only release body cam video if it doesn't affect investigations or agents' privacy. America is listening to Fox News.
I move mountains for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids Max Strength. Its dual active formula has 1,500 milligrams of calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolaids spells powerful relief. 1,500 milligrams is our highest amount of antacid per tablet. Read each label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
You're great at protecting your data, but lots of places could still expose you to identity theft.
I thought it was safe.
If that happens, LifeLock gives you a US-based restoration agent who will stick by your side from start to finish. Phone calls, filing documentation, preparing insurance claims, your agent handles it all. In fact, we're so confident restoration is guaranteed or your money back. Isn't it nice to have someone like that on your side? Save up to 30% with promo code NEWS at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
August continues to do its thing on this Monday afternoon. Sunny skies, hot and humid. 98 for the high. It is nowhere near record heat. The record's 105. Tonight, clear, very warm, very humid, 79. Tuesday, do it again. Sunny, hot, and humid, 96. Do it again on Wednesday. Very warm, very humid, 95 degrees, but cooler Thursday and Friday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
All right, here we go on the economy. Jobs number is out for July. Employers are cutting 23,000 jobs last night. That's well below the number. We were expecting to add about 80,000. Unemployment rate did drop lower, 4.1%. Let's get a take on that now from the White House. Kevin Hassett, National Economic Council Director. Sir, good day to you, and thank you for coming back here.
Great to be here.
Just give me how do you read it? Strength, weakness. Go.
Yeah, so the strength is what we've seen before: construction workers, manufacturing workers, and so on. The weakness in this number were really just two things: government workers and a sort of rebound from all the employment we got from the World Cup, because the World Cup was ending. And so if you throw out the World Cup and the government workers, we actually had a number that was about plus 100,000, which is about what we expected given that the unemployment rate went down. And there's so many other factors like manufacturing booming, capital spending booming, real wages growing for the typical manufacturing worker, almost $4,000 since President Trump took office after adjusting for inflation.
So when you listen to them talking about the numbers, the job numbers that have just recently come in here, you'll notice that they're saying that while the job numbers may not look as fantastic as some might think that they were going to be, he talks about job loss in government workers. And when you think about jobs numbers and you say, oh, we are losing government employees, that might be to the taxpayers' benefit. Let's get to our guest. Steve Moore joins us once again, co-founder of the Committee for Prosperity, host of More Money, and author of The Trump Economic Miracle. Steve, happy Monday. Welcome back.
Hi, Annie. Good to be with you.
Can you talk about these job numbers? They said their unemployment went down to 4.1%. Were these jobs numbers good, bad? What was your reaction?
It was a bad report, no doubt about it, but it's not as bad as the headline numbers would suggest. So you mentioned one really positive thing about the report, which is the government employment fell, which is what we want. We want to drain the swamp. We want fewer people working for government, not more people working for the government. Because remember, you can't have a government job if you don't have a private sector job worker working to pay that government worker's salary. So right. The fact that we had I think it was 40 to 50,000 fewer government employees. That's great news. Great news. Now, the bad news is we have not seen a lot of private sector employment growth in the last few months. And then the question is why? Why is that? Now, Kevin was exactly correct that we are seeing more manufacturing jobs. Good thing. We are seeing more construction jobs. That's a good thing. And part of that is, by the way, from the technology industry and all the data centers we're building and so on. So that's a really good source of high-paying jobs. But what's happening now, in my opinion, is we have a very troubling reduction in the number of young people that are entering the workforce. And this is especially problematic, in my opinion, because the big decline in the labor force participation rate is among young men, not young women. In fact, young women are more likely to be in the labor force than they used to be, and young men are less likely. That's a big problem. And it's not just a problem for the economy. It's a socioeconomic problem. I mean, if you've got, young men that are in their early 20s that aren't working, or they're only working part-time and they're not able to, make a living, how are they going to get married? Does any women want to marry a man that, doesn't even have a job? And so that's, this is attached to something you and I have talked about before, is the troubling decline in birth rates in this country and marriage rates. And so I think it's all tied together. And I'm not sure why this is. I mean, I have three sons. They're in their 20s and 30s, and two of them are on a good path. But one of them is, in this kind of, he wants to stay home and play computer games, and he's, it's hard to motivate him to get out and, get a good job and so on. And that, I think people can relate to that.
Yeah. We're speaking with Steve Moore here. I think that when a generation of people has such a strong voice of socialism being suggested, which they're not even really like, it doesn't even need to be called socialism, but who doesn't love a good handout, especially when you haven't been looking at your pay stub to see that handout is a workaround coming from you.
Exactly. I mean, so well said, Annie. I couldn't say it any better. And so we are paying people not to work. And it's just stupid. It's a stupid thing to do. It's not fair to the people who are working. We'll have to pay more taxes for the people who aren't. But look, I'm in favor of a safety net. I don't want people to go hungry. I don't want people to go homeless. I don't want people to have to really struggle financially. But if you're going to get the free health care and the free food and the free check in the mail, you should have to there should be conditions, right? You should be either in the workforce, in a job training program, or looking for a job, not sitting home, watching computer games on your screen. So that's part of it. But I think it's I don't know. I can't explain it. But like overall, this is an economy that is in good shape. I mean, I said this last week on your show, I'll say it again. Every other country in the world looks at the United States and says, I wish we had an economy as strong as theirs are. We have the best stock market ever. We've got the best technology companies. We lead the world in so many areas. The median family income is now $86,000 a year in the United States. Median, that's people in the middle. Annie, in most countries, $86,000 a year, are you kidding?
Yeah.
You're rich.
Yeah. I just think to myself, there's some tough love. I've got my oldest I have a 16-year-old son. So we're about to engage in those ideas of independence.
Right.
And, Mama Bear doesn't want him to suffer or struggle. But of course, the suffering and the struggle is what makes them independent, that launch out so that they can, like you mentioned before, I want grandbabies. I need him.
Right, I know.
I need him to
too.
get a job.
Mine are older than yours are. So but this is a good point. You don't, and if this discussion, if folks don't if you come away from one lesson of what we've been talking about, this is really important because the economic data is so firmly attached to what I'm about to say. The younger someone starts working, the more successful they are in their life. So if you got a 16-year-old, they should have a job, bagging groceries or doing something productive. That will pay off in spades later in their life. Do you remember your first job, Annie?
Oh, yeah. I was bussing tables at a little Italian restaurant in the local town, making $3 an hour.
Right. But everybody remembers the first job. My first job was caddying. Mm-hmm. and by the way, the golf bag was almost bigger than I was. But, and then I actually worked in a warehouse one summer when I was 17. I hated it. Yeah. I hated that job. But you know what? I learned a lot from that job. I learned, hey, I better take school seriously or I'm going to be in this warehouse the rest of my life. So get those skills of just showing up for work and learning how to be a productive person are very important. And yet our laws are like, you people under 16 or 17 shouldn't work. I mean, come on. Yes, they should. Why not? Yeah. Why shouldn't they? Oh, you want child labor. No, I don't. I just want them to be successful older in life. And so, by the way, my wife, I think I've told you this before, my wife grew up on a farm. Mm-hmm. And, when you grow up in a farm, you start working when you're 10 years old.
Sure. You have to. Absolutely, and you should. Before we let you go, Steve, I just think to myself, this sounds more like a culture problem than a government policy problem.
I think it is.
But government policy I was just going to say, then I can think to myself, well, government policy might be making the situation even worse. All of that gets hung on this administration, though, one way or the other. They get the glories of the successes and the pressure of the failures.
That's right.
Are we in the right? Are we going in the right direction right now?
The United States as a country?
The administration.
I believe we are.
Yeah.
But we have some problems, and these are, as I mentioned, this is one of the biggest ones, that we have a low marriage rate. We have a low, come on, you get out there and, be fruitful and multiply. Get married, get a job, do the things that are so tied to success. And people are married and people are working are happier than people who don't work and are not married.
Yeah, gosh, we used to not have to encourage people to do such things. Steve Moore, a pleasure to have you on the show with us once again. Thanks for being with us today.
Right, take care.
You too. Bye-bye. Good to have Steve Moore on with us. And I think it's a really important conversation to have right now because there's a culture situation happening that it's easy to look at the administration and go, gosh, it's hard to purchase things. It's hard to make ends meet in a particular way. And you want to look at, of course, if Joe Biden's the president, you want to shake your fingers at him. If Trump's the president, you want to shake your fingers at him. But we do have a major culture issue that needs to be addressed. And it just has to do with some independence and some pride in work. Good points there by Steve Moore. Let's take a quick break. The YouTube poll, is the Democrat Party exploding or imploding? Go let us know at youtube.com/@Annie Frey. And we'll get some of your texts on the show here when we come back with Ryan. 314-241-9797. 314-241-9797. Back in a minute. Can you sing like that? Can you say solo like that?
Is that what he's saying? Solo?
Riding solo.
Solo? So yeah, I can do it, obviously.
This song was a Zumba song in my Zumba days. I kind of still remember some of the Zumba moves. Ryan, would you ever Zumba?
No. I would auto-tune, though. In a heartbeat. That is some hot tracks that come through auto-tune. Okay. That's a joke, by the way.
Okay, is it?
Don't love the auto-tune. It's like AI music before it was computers.
It is AI.
I mean, it's almost entirely fake.
I don't mind it.
It's
but
so
there should be somebody over the whole song going auto-tune.
Yeah.
Auto-tune.
Like a
just
watermark
so you know.
on it.
Yeah. I don't know how you watermark a song other than just a obnoxious voice. I don't know. I don't mind it, but I absolutely know how to separate in my head what it is versus, like, if somebody said, Ryan, you'll appreciate this. Somebody commented on our YouTube thumbnails, and they're like, Annie, that photo doesn't even look like, and it was one of the most ridiculous ones that we had. They like, here's the deal. I click a button, and all elements that I own, but ChatGPT sends me a thumbnail for the YouTube live stream every day. And if you go look at some of the thumbnails we have up there, like at first I was messaging Ryan, like, are you okay with this? Because first of all, Ryan's neck is absolutely jacked in these photos.
I look pretty good.
Look how miffed I look in this photo. It's ridiculous. But anyway, it's like close enough that you know it's from my headshot, but it just takes it and makes it emote. But literally, I spend 30 seconds and it's there and it's created and the YouTube algorithm loves it. I put the whole stream together myself. That 30 seconds of ChatGPT probably gives me 45 minutes with my kids. So I know that I don't look like that all the time. I don't care. So if you have to, if you look at it and you're like, that looks AI generated, it absolutely is. I don't have any shame in it. But some of these pictures where they make us emote, I feel like, Ryan, yours are the ones who look more ridiculous, but I don't know if that's just because.
I think they're both pretty ridiculous, but my neck does look big. The only time my neck looks that big in real life is when my thyroid is enlarged.
I thought it was
because I'm
when
sick.
you turn green.
No.
Text messages for the YouTube live chat poll.
Text messages for the YouTube live chat poll, which is the Democrat Party exploding or imploding, or is it stagnant? The first answer here that I see among all of these texts that we've gotten in the last, 20 to 30 minutes would be the Democrat Party is imploding. Then person says that I used to be a Democrat and was a 90s Democrat, but Trump is also a 90s Democrat.
Like
and
a
so
Bill
I'm with
Clinton
Trump.
Democrat,
They're kind of saying that, but they're saying specifically Trump actually is a 90s Democrat.
Yeah. We did this. I want to do some videos on this. I want to go read the was it 2000 Democrat platform that you read on the show?
Yeah.
Because, by the way, just this past week on my little mini vacay, we finished West Wing. I mean, we've been watching it that long.
How many seasons were there?
7?
Oh, that's less than I thought.
6 or 7.
Okay.
And I don't say that ironically. But when we first started watching it, it was before 9/11. I think it was 2000, maybe 1999. And I was saying on the show, my husband and I had watched the whole series before, and we were revisiting it. We watched the whole thing with our kids, and they really liked it as well. They found it entertaining. But I was like, all these policies that they're advocating for, even in the discussions that they're having on the show where they're addressing a particular issue and they're giving both sides, the characters that are in a Democratic administration on the West Wing were advocating for things that Donald Trump is advocating for right now or has accomplished and can't get a single Democrat to support in any way, shape, or form. That's how far the Democrat Party went. I talked about it on the air. You brought up the Democratic Party platform in 2000. Mr. Al Gore, internet creator, his platform when he lost by a hanging Chad in Florida. And the young people are like, who's Chad? That platform is mainstream populist Republican platform right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things like Republicans still don't really support abortion and the Democrats supported abortion in that.
Yeah, but wasn't
there's a few things like
1990s
that.
abortion safe, legal, and rare?
They
Now
didn't-
you're literally shouting
Yes.
your abortion.
But they didn't say that in that platform, but yes. So there were a few things that, like the border security stuff was incredible. The economic stuff was just amazing to read. And
United
go,
States Senator Barack Obama was saying these things on the Senate floor.
Yeah, and in his 2008 campaign, he ran more centrist than he governed for sure. Back to the poll question though: is the Democrat Party exploding or imploding? This person says, "I hope the Dems implode bigly." And this person says, "I think the Democrat Party is in the crapper." That's not one of our choices. Exploding, imploding, or stagnant. So I guess crapper, and
Imploding?
if you're applying that to Cyclospora, that would be exploding.
Ooh,
Ooh.
a wrinkle, a complication.
I don't want to make those comparisons.
YouTube comments, Brad. What are people saying over there on is the Democrat Party exploding or imploding?
So Paul says the Democrat Party is redefining its platform and should, in my opinion, change its name to the Progressive Party. He said Republicans need to do similarly, and then he throws a jab in there at Republicans about calling it the Christian Conservative Party.
So Paul says the Democratic Party is redefining its platform and should, in my opinion, change its name to the Progressive Party. Republicans need to do similarly. How about Christian Conservative Party? I find it very ironic that the one insult that Paul would lobby out there would be like, "What if we called you Christian?" This is the same section of people right now who don't want El Sayed to be referred to by his whole actual given name because you might tell people that he's Muslim. Is he Muslim?
Yes.
Okay. So we've established that.
Yes. It was rhetorical, but is like, what if he's Muslim? Like, I'm interested to know what the fill in the blank, like, if you're trying to keep El Sayed from being identified publicly by his full name because the implication might suggest, you know what I mean, then he's Muslim. What does that mean? You go first. I got ears. I'll listen. What if people find out he's Muslim? I'm just saying. Oh, but yes, relabel us to the Christian Conservative Party. I know a lot of people who are Trump supporters. Actually, Donald Trump has brought more people into the Republican Party who have nothing to do with the Christian faith than any Republican before. So if you wanted to say, why not relabel the Republicans to the Christian Conservative Party, that's maybe what would be said right now if Mike Pence would have won the last primary. That did not go well. Do you ever see Mike Pence? Have you seen Mike Pence recently in the news?
No.
He's been plucked onto a few panels lately.
Okay.
And he sounds like he's talking in Shakespeare or something like that. It's like, ooh,
he always has.
We don't talk like that anymore. Have
Yeah.
you seen Trump? He's like, you got Trump sitting at the Resolute desk in the Oval Office going, I call them Democrats. You take the E and you turn it into a U, and it's Democrats because they're dumb. And then Mike Pence comes on the scene. I'm like, ooh, it's just not the time right through. You got some more comments over there on the YouTube?
Yeah. So Betsy says, I chose Stagnant because, but agree possibly imploding. Definitely they have lost their ever-loving minds. And then Clementine says, poll moving towards stagnant or exploding. I think the Dems want it to explode.
Oh, my darling Clementine.
And then Scooter, good old Scooter. Democrats are favored to win the majority in the House and have a slight edge in the Senate. Hardly a sign of implosion. So
All
I
right,
think he's
mark the
exploding.
tape right now, Scoots, because in November, do you actually think that's what's going to happen? Historically speaking, of course. I think Obama called his midterm a shellacking. Is that right? Was that an Obama term?
Yeah.
Trump had a shellacking of his own in his first term in the House, but they still took the Senate. Wasn't that right? In 2018, I think. I don't know, something weird. But if the definition of what's happening right now with the Democrat Party is taking the House in November and having a close shot at the Senate, let's just put a pin in that and see how close to that we are. Because if the Democrats do not take the Senate and do not take the House, then do we say that it's imploding? I would say yes. I would think that the outcome of that would be a yes.
One more comment here from, actually a few more coming in, but I haven't looked at them yet. This one says, in my opinion, the Democrat Party is now the Democrat Party of communism or socialism. However, you want to say it's the same thing. If they don't consider themselves the party of the Democrat Socialist Communist Party, then they need to not allow these people to run under the Democrat Party, name and banner. I think just basically associating all of them with the same policies is what I was saying earlier.
Where to send more texts if people have thoughts?
314-241-9797.
All right, we'll take more of your texts here throughout the course of the show. Trace Gallagher joins us next here on the Annie Frey Show. Don't go away.
You're not alone. Most importantly, you don't have to live with it. Paramount Men's Medical Center restores men's sex lives in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, even when Viagra and Cialis don't work. Here's Dr. Simovitz, specialist in men's health.
Paramount Men's Medical Center's painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. 98% of patients see instant results right in the office.
Men are now lasting longer than they ever imagined. And the best part, at Paramount Men's Medical Center, your consultation and first treatment are free. Qualified patients even get their testosterone checked free. Call 314-887-4333. 314-887-4333. Take control of your sex life. Call now. 314-887-4333.
Mark Cox here. Join me, Annie Frey, and Mark Reardon, along with Bob and Tammy Kershaw of the Retirement Advisory Group, to learn how to create your worry-free retirement. We'll meet August 11th at the DoubleTree Hotel in Chesterfield at 6:30. Here are Bob and Tammy with more.
Are you nearing retirement or already retired and wondering how to turn your 401k and IRA into a worry-free retirement? Would you like to learn the strategies that give you market growth but protects you from market losses at the same time?
Would you like to get a free personalized retirement income plan? And did you also know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free to create a worry-free retirement? If you're 59 and a half or older, you cannot afford to miss this event.
Have a worry-free retirement. Join the official financial advisors of my show, Bob and Tammy Kershaw, at the DoubleTree Hotel in Chesterfield, Tuesday, August 11th at 6:30. Go to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Is the Democrat Party exploding or imploding? The other option is stagnant. We've gotten lots of texts. We've been reading those, and you can add to that if you would like. 314-241-9797. Let us know what you think is going to happen in the midterms, too, by the way. It is 1:30 right now. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 AC.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show, that YouTube live chat poll. We're getting your feedback on it. Continue to feature some of your responses here throughout the course of the show. So 314-241-9797 to send us your thoughts. We'd love to have them. I want to get immediately to our next guest because I am so excited to talk to Trace Gallagher. I know I'm probably, Trace, supposed to talk to you about the news and stuff, but can we just talk about your book? I want to just talk about your book.
We can talk about news, the book, Annie, whatever you want to talk about. We're good to go. There's a lot to talk about, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I want to get to the news first. We'll get that out of the way because your book, you talk about, it's called "Turns Out They Were Right All Along," and you talk about going to see John Wooden, and John Wooden's book, A Lifetime of Observations and Reflections on and Off the Court. I had a coach give that to me in 7th grade, so I relate to the story that you're going to. So hold on, and we'll get to that here in just a second. But you had President Trump. You had a great interview with him last week, and one of the things that you were discussing with him, of course, is what's going on in Iran. What was your takeaway, just your vibe, sitting there with the president about the handle, like the 10-2, I've got control of this situation that the president has on these negotiations?
I think he's just tired of it. I mean, you can tell when you look at him and you talk to him about this, that it's like Groundhog Day, is that Iran comes out and they say, okay, we want a deal, and then they break the deal. Or, somebody leaks that the IRGC is looking for a deal, they're looking for this, and then they violate it right away. And so he's frustrated. And I think that, basically what you're going to see happen is that I think this ceasefire is probably going to hold for a while, and they're just going to wait and see what Iran does. I think the thing that he thinks the big power move for the United States right now is to just keep taking the money away from Iran. I mean, their economy right now is a disaster. Inflation's at 75, 77%. The oil money is gone. And so this blockade is doing great damage. Now, you hear Iran tell it, they think everything's great. Oh, no, we're great. Oh, the economy's great. But you look and you talk to the people inside Iran, and things are bad, and things are going to get worse. And I think the president feels like that's one of the things, because Iran, their key point right now is, whether or not they're going to open the Strait of Hormuz. One day they say they will. The next day they say they're not going to. They're going to charge tolls. They're going to do this. But all the while, even if the strait is sort of kind of open and sort of closed, the price of oil is still pretty solid, right?
Yeah.
The price of oil is still it's lower than it was, a lot lower than it was a couple of months ago. And so, the president would like to see the gas prices come down to that. But I think what he's willing to do is kind of he's willing to put some time into this and to see how the economy in Iran is looking over the next 3-4 weeks or a month. And I think that's the key play right now for the United States, is the Iranian economy.
We're speaking with Trace Gallagher, chief breaking news correspondent, and of course, anchor of Fox News at night. An incredible show in the evening. I love catching up on the day, watching your show each evening, Trace. I wonder if your experience with the president, I felt like at the beginning of this, the decision to denuclearize Iran, that the president had a very clear understanding of what the goal of the mission was. And I think that he knew that there would maybe be some political collateral damage in the current moment while that was happening. And I'm wondering what your take was on his current mood with how it's playing politically, especially going into a midterm.
Well, he knows that, he knows that he sees the numbers. He knows that it's not popular, but he also, what's happening is you see the Iranian government is parroting a lot of what the mainstream media is talking about here. So the Iranian government is taking things that you hear Chuck Schumer say, and they're sending out tweets basically saying the very same thing. And so, they're using this as a way to say, well, see, people in America are not happy about this. But the truth is you look at some of these polling and you see when last week Scott Besson says the Strait of Hormuz is going to open. I mean, nothing about nuclear weapons, nothing about anything except the strait's going to open and the market goes to record highs. And all of a sudden the polling starts to increase. And so the president also knows that whatever the feeling is right now, that it's ephemeral. And if something good happens, if there's a good outcome, if there's a good decision, if the Strait of Hormuz opens and they can work some way to make sure that Iran cannot get to that uranium under those mountains, I think you're going to see, I think he believes you're going to see the perception of this whole war change. You're going to see, a brighter future for the polling on this topic, but it's coupled with, the economy. And right now, people are frustrated because they believe that in this country, it's kind of tied hand in hand. They were expecting prices to go down, so there's some frustration on that. And right now, I think what's happening is that, the Iran war, part and parcel of a bigger picture is the fact that the economy, they don't see prices coming down as fast as they should or as fast as they believe. And so it's this double-edged frustration that you see in the polling, and the president understands that, and he thinks that, over the next couple of months, that you're going to see prices come down, you're going to see the markets go up, and you're going to see things in Iran work themselves out.
I think one of the under-talked about, discussed stories of what the president has been doing, especially with gas prices, is, the reports that he's put pressure on these oil companies to get in line to lower these prices. I can think of a lot of the pressure that was like the bully pulpit that was the prior administration was on how Americans were allowed to think and what they were allowed to say. We do see this current administration and President Trump using his bully pulpit towards these companies to say, you need to do right by the American people, get the gas prices in line. That to me, I see that as in defense of the American people in this moment. Not big companies.
I do too.
Yeah.
And I brought it up to him. I said, we were doing the numbers, and when I interviewed him, last Tuesday, I was looking at oil prices, and then on that day they were, I think they were at $74 a barrel. So the prices of oil when the war started was $67 a barrel. So the price of oil was about 9-10% higher than it was before the Iran war, and yet the price of gas was 33% higher. And so you can see the president is frustrated. You have the price of oil is at 9-10% higher. The price of gas should be 9-10% higher. It should be just a little bit, but instead, in a lot of places, 30%. In California, it's 42% higher just because it's California and they tax every gallon, $1.67. So it's a different scenario in different states, but across the board, he's frustrated because he sees the price of oil and the price of gas are not tracking.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating, and he sees, the profits are public, he sees the oil companies making a bunch of money. Profits are way up, and, his point is, listen, bring the gas prices down. Let's get these things down, give Americans a break. Everybody wants everybody to make money, but you're making huge amounts of money, and people are paying huge amounts for gas, and when the price of oil is somewhat stabilized, the price of gas should follow suit.
Yeah, it just flies in the narrative of his opposition who say that all he cares about is his his buddies and big business and big oil and all that stuff. Like that's not really what's happening right here.
No.
We're speaking with Trace Gallagher, chief breaking news correspondent, anchor of Fox News at Night, also author of the book Turns Out They Were Right All Along. Trace, I'm just reading like the summary here that they're sending out. You've done some things in your life that are pretty impressive, including I don't know how many people tuning into your evening news show know that you were were you a professional water skier?
I was a professional show skier. It's one of those things where they're like, what don't you know about somebody? What would surprise you?
There it is.
That is something that surprises a lot of people. Yeah, I was a professional show skier for 5 years, and it means that I was in places like, Six Flags Great Adventure in New Jersey and SeaWorld in Orlando and Marine World in California, where you'd put on these water ski shows where we'd go out and we would do, back barefooting and barefoot water skiing and front flips and back flip, all these goofy things, the big pyramids. And that's what I did for 5 years. It kind of got me through college. It got me through a lot of things. And it's a part of the book because it was so fascinating. Because, of the people I was with and the things that I did. And, a lot of the book is, stories, because the truth is, listen, everything I've learned, everything we all learn, and we learn from somebody else. It's because somebody else told us that. You were talking about John Wooden earlier.
Yes.
And we brought John Wooden in the book because, I went to a small high school. I came out of San Diego, and I was 12 years old. We decided to move, me and my parents and my brothers and sisters had all graduated high school. We moved to a small town called Mammoth Lakes, California. Mammoth Mountain is a big ski area, well-known ski area in the country. And we moved up there, and when you go to a small high school, you have to play 3 sports. I played football and baseball as a kid in San Diego, and I needed to play basketball in high school, but I was terrible at basketball. So I thought if I can go to the Wooden camp, I'm going to be great. And John Wooden and then, we're talking about the late 70s, then John Wooden had just won 10 championships in 12 years. Never been repeated. So I'm thinking I got to go to the Wooden basketball camp, right? But it was $500. So you get the money together, you work, you do it, you get to the Wooden camp, and you're down in Southern California, and first day out walks John Wooden. And you think, man, oh man, every kid in the gym, their jaw dropped. And John Wooden goes up to the microphone and he taps it and he says, boys, I want you to sit down and take off your shoes and socks. You should have 2 pairs of socks. And then he says, take the first pair and put them on inside out. You take that second pair and you put them on the right way. You tie your shoes up nice and tight. He says, if you do that, you will never have blisters. You cannot play basketball with blisters. And then John Wooden turned and walked off, and we never saw him again. True story.
What about my
Never
jump
saw him
shot,
again.
Coach?
And
Oh.
there goes 500, but I'm thinking, that was 5. But the truth is, he's a fundamentals guy, right? It was all about fundamentals. The book is about the fundamentals. It's about the basic lessons that you sometimes dismiss are valuable. And John Wooden, when you go in and his pyramid of success and the
Yes.
things that he preached his whole are still valid today. And that's kind of, there's 32 stories of this book. And there's a reason it's 32 because 3 + 2 = 5. And, the old joke is I'm not, superstitious, but I'm a little stitious. And there's a big thing with numbers and and so the whole book is about, these peccadillos, the things that people go through, the things that, you learn through life. And they're my stories and they're the people I've met, but everybody can relate to these because everybody has the same types of stories.
Yeah.
So it's a fun read, and I highly recommend it. Of course I do. I'm very biased over this book.
You absolutely should. We're talking with Trace Gallagher about his book. Turns out they were right all along. I assume pre-orders are open right now, comes out in September. Is that correct?
Yeah, it drops September 15th. It is for pre-sale right now. You can just go to tracegallagherbook.com, and it will take you to everything from Target to Barnes & Noble to Amazon.
Awesome.
You can do whatever you want to pre-sale. But, yeah, I think the book is it's a fun read. It's a super fun read. It's not political. It's just, it's just a bunch of life stories.
Yeah, I think that's a fun way for of course the people who watch you on Fox News to get to know you a little bit better, but also you're a very successful person. Was being a news anchor, was that always the dream? When did it become the dream?
No, I mean, I wanted to be a high school football coach. I played football in college, and I wanted to be a high school football coach. And when I was water skiing, I got hurt. I hurt my knee, and they said, well, there's 2 things you can do. You can either be the pickup boat driver and pick up all the skis, or you can announce the ski shows. So I started announcing ski shows, and I announced fashion shows, and I went back and took some journalism classes, and I literally got an internship. The next thing I knew, I was working in Yuma, Arizona for $11,000 a year.
All because of a knee
Yuma
injury.
All because of a knee injury, because it just put me on a different path. So you never know. You never know what's going to happen. And then I went from Yuma to Boise, Idaho, to Las Vegas, to Orlando, to Chicago, to San Francisco, the whole routine. And here I am. I've been at Fox now 30 years. 30-year anniversary of Fox is October 7th, and I've been there all 30 years.
Well, that's incredible, Trace, and I'm looking forward to checking this out and learning from your stories and going through the bobbing and weaving to understand that you get a knee injury, you can sit there and sulk about it, but there's another opportunity on the other side of it, and it seems as though you've experienced quite a lot of those. We're excited to learn more once this book comes out in September.
Thank you, Annie. I very much appreciate it. Very much appreciate it.
We'll look forward to having you back again soon, Trace.
Thanks.
Take care. Bye-bye. Trace Gallagher, of course, the host of Fox News at Night. I don't know if you watch that show. I think it comes on after Gutfeld. And I just like that I can tune that in and get the news of the day from Trace. I think he's does a wonderful job. It's nice of him to come on here as well and talk about his book and his interview with President Trump last week. Keep it right here on 97.1 FM Talk. Ryan will be back in studio with us here in just a moment. Just keep sending us your text, 314-241-9797. Is the Democrat Party exploding or imploding? We'll be back in a minute. Don't go away. There's some news over the weekend. I guess it's news. Hunter Biden was on with who was he on with? Who did Hunter Biden just talk to and say this? Maybe it's in this article. BBC. That's why I don't know. Hunter Biden was talking to BBC and said the cancer has spread, metastasized into his bones and further. It's very painful and it's very debilitating in many respects. It's really sad to watch. The only thing that I'd say about my dad, about his health right now, is I wish he would complain more because it's not good. So Hunter Biden is updating the world, I guess, through BBC, saying that President Joe Biden's prostate cancer has spread and that he's in a lot of pain. Do you find yourself, like when you react to the story, now, how many people said that President Biden could absolutely handle a second term? Basically everybody that was a Democrat until he was out.
Nobody was willing to question that. I think they all probably had their own private questions.
I'm not talking about that.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the public face. Nobody. And the cancer diagnosis, wasn't it like 2017 or something like that?
I don't remember.
I think it was before he ran for president.
Okay.
Anyway, specifically on this show, and you can attest to this because you've been here the whole time, there are a lot of Joe Biden clips that we did not play because I felt really bad for the guy.
Yeah, but Corn Pop was a good one.
But that was pre this.
That was, yeah, you're right.
You know who I'd openly rail on any chance I got? Jill Biden. What's the matter with her? I mean, knowing that we would be halfway into his second term. Yes, he stepped back, but they never were really open and honest about why he was stepping back from running again. I don't think he stepped. I think that if they thought he could have actually won, he'd be there right now.
Oh, I still think that he was pushed out by the elites, including George Clooney and Obama, and that he on the way out, I mean, I'm getting deep here. On the way out said, oh, yeah, you think you're going to push me out? Well, I'm going to endorse Kamala Harris on the way out. What do you think about that?
Yeah.
Because they didn't want him to do that.
I remember I was on vacation, which is when all the cool stuff happens in the news. Well, not all the cool stuff. I'll say the big stuff. Because I was on vacation when Trump got shot. That was not cool. That was terrible. But that was one of the biggest news stories of my lifetime. And I know where I was sitting in the pool when Joe Biden pulled out of the race. And when Kamala Harris I was like, oh, I knew it. And I'd been saying for how long,
You
Ryan?
had. I couldn't believe it.
I
Because we
wanted
were
to be
almost
here.
past the point of no return. And I'm like, we're already too far down the trail. We can't change it now.
Not too far. Still, because it all came down to, does he even have a shot at winning? And of course, the answer was no. Unless you can pull the levers enough to make it happen, and it doesn't need to be rational because there's a system that's being managed that will produce a result that you want to have, which I think that whatever exists out there. I mean, I'm not talking about the 2020 election because that was the safest and securest election in history. We know because they told us.
Yeah, we don't talk about that one at all.
No. He's totally
safe and secure.
There's no way he could have won. The Bidens have never owned up to the American people. I think, again, I actually feel sorry for this man. And when I hear this report from Joe Biden or from Hunter Biden saying that he's in pain and suffering, I feel bad for him because he spent the last probably quality years that he could have had with his family and his loved ones being shuffled around by some sort of system that was put in place because he was the palatable one they could get through. They weren't going to get Pete Buttigieg through. They weren't going to get Amy Klobuchar through. Kamala Harris dropped out before the Iowa caucus even caucused a single caucus. What do you do at a caucus? It's weird.
You caucus.
I don't caucus.
I didn't either. I voted for
Ted Cruz.
For H.W. Bush, not Dukakis. Am I getting the years right?
Dang it, no. Dukakis was against George H.W. Bush, right?
I can't remember.
Yes, I've told this story before, but now I got to tell it again.
I think so.
Guys, it was 1988.
Did Dukakis win the Iowa caucus?
No, but I have guilt for this. There are a few things that I talk about with some like biannual repetition on the show. One of them is my Jurassic Park book report.
Yeah.
Big shame on my family.
The other is that you definitely did not ask your husband out first.
Well, I have a signed document from him that confirms that. It's on a piece of paper that was torn off the corner and left. Another one is my dad telling me I was a communist when I was 8 in the garage.
Yep.
Because we were gardening, and I was like, what if we just shared things with each other and we wouldn't need money? And he just looked at me, and I was 8, and he goes, Annie, you're a communist. And then he just left the garage.
8-year-old Annie
just
is
left
now
it hanging out there.
the mayor of most American cities.
And I was in the garage. I know what it smelled like and felt like in that probably August afternoon, where I was like, he didn't say that like it was a good thing. He didn't explain communism. He just lobbed it out towards me. The other story that I have to tell is that in 1988, I was in preschool, 4-year-old preschool. And so I went to Trinity Lutheran in Edwardsville, and they have an election, so everybody gets to vote. And so 4-year-old little Annie goes in to cast her vote for president. And I was like, well, that guy looks super old. I'm going to vote for the one who has a lot of hair. Turns out it was Dukakis. I went home, as proud as I possibly could be, told my dad that I voted for Dukakis, and I don't know that I'm in the will. There were probably, at that Lutheran school, I don't know at the time, but I'd imagine there might have been one vote for Dukakis, and it's this little Annie from preschool. Like, who's this vote? What's this? I voted for him. He just looked more vigorous.
Yeah, well, he got all of the 8-year-old votes.
And Minnesota or something?
I don't remember. No, that was Reagan in 84.
Oh. I don't know. Anyway, I voted for Dukakis. I was the one. I have shame. I have lots of shame on that. The text line, do you have any more texts from people? Is the Democrat Party exploding or imploding? You can text us at 314-241-9797 if you have thoughts on this. I think the socialism creep in the Democrat Party is a huge factor in what happens next, not just in the party, but within our country. But I think a lot of people are probably thinking this is finally the moment.
Yeah, here's Dale. He says, I say they are imploding. They are supporting commies that hate America and calling for everything that is wrong or immoral. No police and wiping out our Constitution as written. Imploding. Here's another. Now, I really like this one. I'm going to sneak this in before we get to the top here. Imploding and exploding. The party is imploding from within, and their decisions are exploding their exposure to the outside of the party. I think that is actually almost exactly what I would say. Because they are they don't know what to do, and it's very public that they don't know what to do. So it's kind of like they're collapsing and everybody can see it.
So not exploding in a positive way.
No. Oh, yeah. Okay. I guess that's what you meant by exploding.
I should have defined that earlier in the show as opposed to going into the 2 o'clock hour. All right, let's take a quick break. Keep voting on the YouTube channel, sending your texts to Ryan. We'll be back in a minute. Don't go away.
Offers for potential customers this summer.
You know what, Mark? We talked about the 1% reduction when you're buying a house. You lock it in at 6.5%. You get 5.5%. We're going to extend that to certain kinds of refinances right now as well. If you have an FHA loan and you need to go to conventional because it's usually better, we're going to give you 1% lower for the first year as well. It's a great opportunity. Take advantage now. Cash out, rate and term refinances from FHA to conventional, 1% lower for the first year.
A lot of people are just on the sidelines. They were worried about the rate that they locked in originally, and they need cash from their house, though, right?
That's right. It's a great opportunity. Look to see what you're paying on those credit cards. If you need to go ahead and do some improvements to your house, this is a great time to do it. Don't use your credit cards. The APRs are 30%. Stay away from those high interest rate type of programs. Refinance, get one fixed rate. It's not adjustable. 1% lower for the first year.
Call or text Stewie on his cell phone, 314-324-4440, or Google the Bagel Loan, NMLS number 226715.
So let's talk about Home Shield Foundation Repair. Of course, if you go to the website at homeshieldfoundationrepairs.com, you're going to see a host of foundation repair services that Matt Hayes offers through his local business, family-owned business, St. Louis business, grown right here in the St. Louis area. Reminder also that Home Shield Foundation Repair will help you in your Missouri home, in your Illinois home, in your Missouri or Illinois place of business. If you've got a foundation concern or if you've got a foundation calamity, you want to make sure that you have someone who's going to come out and fix it right the first time. That's why you go with the expertise of Matt Hayes and his great team at Home Shield Foundation Repair. One of the things that he brags about is his team, because he has a lot of long-timers, people who once they work for Home Shield Foundation Repair, they don't want to work anywhere else, because Home Shield Foundation Repair does it right, and they do it right the first time. If you have a foundation concern and it needs to be fixed by people who know what they're doing, you're going to reach out to Home Shield Foundation Repair at 314-271-9900. You can find them right now as well online at homeshieldfoundationrepairs.com.
Ready for instant curb appeal that comes with a 25-year transferable warranty? Call Rhino Shield today. We do brick, block, stucco, asbestos, aluminum, steel, cedar, and more. Over the past 20 years, we've done thousands of homes, businesses, churches, schools, condos, parking garages, large metal buildings, and strip malls, from Champaign to the Lake of the Ozarks. We do flat and sloped metal roofs to extend their lives too. Proud to be veteran-owned and manufactured in the good old USA. So we're tariff-free. We're exceeding expectations every day. Evaluations are free. A+ rated with the BBB and a lot of 5-star Google reviews. Call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
No pain, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
Another round of Fauci revelations. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. Following the recent release of diary entries that appear to contradict public statements made by Dr. Anthony Fauci about the COVID pandemic and response, Senate Republicans just releasing text messages from Fauci's government phone.
There's more than 34,000 messages here, and we're just starting to fillet those right now to understand what's in some of these messages.
Fox's Chad Pergam on Capitol Hill. Some of the messages with the then Surgeon General and CDC director focusing on potential COVID vaccine risks for pregnant women in the first trimester. This follows a Senate hearing where the former presidential COVID advisor invoked his right to remain silent more than 100 times.
At that hearing, about a week and a half ago, they were frustrated with Anthony Fauci because they had questions for him about what the origins of the pandemic were, but also some of this information that was gleaned about the vaccine, whether or not it worked properly. You're seeing some questions right there about particular types of vaccines. Remember, this is from Moderna, and they just wanted to get to the bottom of some of this. And don't forget that they then sent a criminal referral to the Department of Justice on behalf of that committee, did not pass it through the entire Senate, but sent it down to DOJ.
An attorney for Fauci has accused Senator Rand Paul in particular of having a personal vendetta against the doctor. Meantime, President Trump set to sign an executive order calling for revamped childhood vaccine recommendations, aiming to space them out.
Effective immediately, my administration is recognizing gold standard childhood vaccine recommendations for only 11 core vaccinations against the most serious and dangerous diseases, along with the MMR, which hopefully will be split up.
That's the measles, mumps, rubella vaccine. The president speaking moments ago in the Oval Office, where also Todd Blanche has just been sworn in as Attorney General. America is listening to Fox News.
I move mountains for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids Max Strength. Its dual-active formula has 1,500 milligrams of calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolaids spells powerful relief. 1,500 milligrams is our highest amount of antacid per tablet. Read each label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Lots of places can expose you to identity theft.
Oh, no.
That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity, which is way more than anyone can do on their own. If we find anything suspicious, like new loans or changes to your financial accounts, we alert you right away, all through text, phone, email, or the LifeLock app. Get the alerts that could make all the difference. Save up to 30% with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
August continues to do its thing on this Monday afternoon. Sunny skies, hot and humid. 98 for the high. It is nowhere near record heat. The record's 105. Tonight, clear, very warm, very humid, 79. Tuesday, do it again. Sunny, hot, and humid, 96. Do it again on Wednesday. Very warm, very humid, 95 degrees, but cooler Thursday and Friday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
The Annie Frey Show is sponsored. Right now, President Trump is speaking from the Oval Office. RFK Jr. is standing next to him. There is an announcement today that if you were listening earlier in the show, you heard Dr. Mark Siegel. He was on with us to talk about Cyclospora and jalapenos. You have to say it like that, right? Can you say that? Can you say it like
jalapeno?
Jalapeno.
Casagliardo.
Who? What's that from?
It's from their commercial in the late 90s.
Were they ironic about it?
No, they had a guy who was, vaguely Latin American, and he would walk in.
Passes in the Midwest.
Yeah, he kind of would walk through, and he would go, "Hey, welcome. You can come get our rolled grilled tacos." As he'd only pronounce the Spanish words with an accent.
Tacos is not even really
jalapenos.
Spanish. Anyway, Dr. Mark Siegel was talking to us about Cyclospora, and it's now a jalapeno thing. But he said something that I hadn't really heard. Maybe it's because I've been out, but that when the cold weather gets here, this is going away. So that's good to know. But now he also mentioned right at the end of our interview, which will be available on our podcast, Annie Frey Show podcast, wherever you get your podcast from, about commending RFK Jr. and HHS for finally getting to the place where they are going to have some rules and restrictions about what can go into our food, what's passable. So they are in the White House. They're talking about this. There's probably some news being made. I know it has to do with childhood vaccines and all that stuff. I don't want to talk about that right now. I want to talk about Fauci text because we heard over the weekend that, I don't know, who was it that Rand Paul, but they got Anthony Fauci's cell phone, which is government property, folks. They got it. I don't think they were supposed to get it. I mean, I don't think that it was thought that they would get it. But the phone has been recovered, and there is a treasure trove of texts that are on there that are going to do, it's the same thing that his diary, which I just can't get over the fact that Anthony Fauci kept a diary.
I know.
He was writing notes for a book. So that I understand. But come on, man, it can't be a complete contradiction to what you're saying to the public. What are you going to put in your book? That doesn't make sense to me. Well, the phone has been acquired. It's in the hands of the Rand Pauls of the world. And now there is some news that is breaking.
So this big text that's come out today is that Fauci was discussing COVID mRNA vaccine concerns for pregnant women in the text chain released by the Senate committee today. So this is something that we were not supposed to talk about at all at the time, remember?
I was pregnant!
Yeah, you were, and you could not talk about this. This was like, no, that's conspiracy. You're a nut if you talk about vaccines and pregnant women.
I'm going to go ahead and give a shout out to Dr. Randy Tobler, who has been, he's an OBGYN. He's also on a radio station in the middle of the state in the country. Well, that's not untrue.
Yeah, both are true.
But he's an OBGYN. And this moment in time, I was pregnant in the end. Molly was born in June of 2021. So I was pregnant in October. I think we found out right around Halloween that we were pregnant. I didn't know what to do. Nobody knew what to do with the vaccine, but I was pregnant and I really didn't know what to do because I was of the mind that it wasn't, I know this has become a shocker to the imploding Democrat Party, but it wasn't just my body. I wasn't the only person who was going to be affected in a positive way or in a negative way if I got the vaccine. And if I decided to be anti-vaccine and risk my child's life as it was growing inside of me because I was not going to get the vaccine, that felt really selfish. if I got the vaccine because I was super pro-vaccine and I wanted to make sure that I didn't get COVID and I was risking my baby's life because I was going to get the vaccine, what felt really selfish. I didn't know what to do or where to go. And it was so crazy that I had to seek out the opinion. Now, I loved my OBGYN at the time, but I kind of feel like all of these people were medically obligated to say one thing or another. I knew Dr. Tobler was a man of faith, a man of medicine, and that he cared about me and in a way that was outside of all the other noise. And he said to me, he's like, I don't think I would get it while you're pregnant. And then we had a separate conversation after, and I didn't get it. And I am so, oh my gosh. To me, it was like, should I get the vaccine while I'm pregnant? That it was an active choice to do it, to put something in my body like that. And I couldn't stomach, no pun intended, the thought of making this active decision to take in this medicine while I thought I will just be super careful of who I'm around and how I handle these things. But I'm not going to get that vaccine while I was carrying that baby. And now you're telling me, Ryan, that there are text messages where Anthony Fauci is saying that the mRNA vaccine can do what to pregnant women?
Well, let's talk about the timeline and we'll get there because you have the vaccine comes out in December of 2020. And really just high-risk people were getting it in December, so very few people were getting it in December. By January of 2021, so about a month after it was released, they're already in these texts talking about this being a possible problem for pregnant women. So January 2021.
That would be right on the cusp of me being at the end of my first trimester.
Correct. The exchange that was released involved Dr. Fauci, then CDC director, remember this name? Rochelle Walensky. She was everywhere. And then Dr. Vivek Murthy, you may remember him too. He became Joe Biden's Surgeon General. Fauci said that because many people experience significant cytokine-related symptoms and fever after a second dose, because they're already, this is right after it was released, they're already looking at second doses, that the reaction, quote, theoretically could be associated with miscarriage in the first trimester. According to the messages shown on the page of two documents released Sunday by Senators Ron Johnson and Rand Paul.
How does that compare to what he was saying publicly? Because you're saying that these are messages that he was participating in through text messages in private. They were telling women to get vaccinated. I will give credit to my actual OBGYN. He was never pushy about it. He was never somebody who was like, you need to get this. Like, there was no pressure whatsoever. He was very much so like, I will tell you the things that I know and the things that he's experienced, but he wasn't like, you should get this at all. It was like, this is a you call.
So there's a lot more information here and there's a timeline to the whole thing, but Walensky replied that it was, quote, definitely a good point, especially after dose 2. So again, this is very early on. They're already talking about 2 doses. And it's a really good point, said Fauci back to her. And then later, there's something about a WHO. Now, I'm just reading this here, but the WHO put out a recommendation at that time advising against the use of Moderna's vaccine in pregnant women. I don't remember this at all, but apparently they did. And then Murthy, the eventual Surgeon General there, responded that the WHO recommendation surprised him and that he thought that it was a bad idea to put that out because, quote, potentially quite damaging to public confidence among pregnant women. So they tried to bury it, is the implication here, because, and that's why we didn't really hear much about it, because they thought, well, the vaccine's too important. We don't want anything to really come along and shake confidence in it.
Yeah.
What's amazing is that these are things that we were all kind of
questioning,
talking about, but you almost had to do it like you'd write it in the sand and then make sure somebody saw it, then you'd rub it out. Like,
yeah.
You can't really talk about this publicly, but we were all questioning it and all rumbling about it underneath the cover of night.
Much like some of the other things, the election being the main other one, the inability, the lack of permission, as if you need it in the United States of America, to discuss these type of things is what gave me the most skepticism.
Exactly.
I mean, there are some people out there who probably got, a much better handle on the science than I do, of course, which is I have nil. Which means I'm like ground zero for being able to be played. You want to scare me into doing something medically? I mean, other than my own research, and I'm very happy to do as much research as I possibly can on anything that I have the opportunity to start, the Google or the AI conversation about. I'll look into it, but that doesn't. Everything that you Google and research is influenced by somebody else's opinion, and you don't even know what you don't know. You don't know what all the options are out there when it comes to something like this. And it turns out they didn't know, at least what they were saying privately. Of course, again, going back to the diary, but now also in these text messages, were in stark contrast to the advice that they were giving us on the main stage. You have to ask yourself the question, why? And if you think about, okay, what are the weight of the consequences of Anthony Fauci? Just look around at the celebrities where they talk about, like, you're a hero. You're the guy. You're not the man in the room. You're the man in the world who can save us from this big, scary thing that has been made to be big and scary by the arsonist, who is also now the firefighter, and Anthony Fauci. We were made to be afraid. And when we got to the point where we were fearful and we were like, I raise my hand. I'd like to ask. No, you don't ask questions. You don't question this. Who are you? What do you know? How selfish of you to question the science, the capital TSTM science. When you tell me I can't question it, now I have poured myself into skepticism about what you're talking about, because it seems to me you want me to make my decisions based on emotion and not out of sense. Like, explain it to me. Make it make sense. We couldn't even get to that part. You weren't allowed to talk about it. And if you did, there are people who lost their livelihoods for it. There are people who've lost relationships that are still gone. There are people who have had familial relationships, parents and children's, brothers and sisters, spouses, who simply because one entity wanted to question certain things, the other entity said, how dare you? Those people are still not reconciled. Those people are still not together in good relationships. There are chances that in how many relationships that exist in the world, that there are people who have passed away and will never reconcile because of Anthony Fauci's bullcrap. I mean, that's what this really all comes down to. It's not just about Anthony Fauci wanting the outcome of COVID to spread as little as possible and to be as minimized of a danger as possible. They took it not into the end zone. They took it into the next end zone they could find at a different stadium in another city. They said you can't go to work. You can't go see your mother in the hospital. Grandpa's dying and you're going to wave to him from a window outside and they're going to hold up a sign that says he's at peace. That literally happened. All of this to say, it's not that COVID didn't exist. It's not that COVID wasn't bad. It just wasn't as bad as they said. And the solution to the problem was exponentially worse than the original problem. Look what they did to our country because we were scared and we let them, which is why we say never again. Now, if you say never again right now, this takes me to a conversation we had in the first hour, which is we said never again when it came to never forget, at least, when it came to September 11th. And we've said never again decades before that. And here we are in both of those instances questioning how much we meant never again and how much we meant never forget. So, yeah, we're going to have these conversations right now. Yes, I think Fauci's texts should be made to be mainstream news. And, like, it's really wild to watch people melt down that the hero Fauci might be a hero no more. Like, what's it to you? You loved Anthony Fauci? You were wrong about it. You should be the most mad about it because you made a fool out of yourself defending this clown.
And they made it their worldview. They made it their religion almost, you could say, that they believed, quote, the science so much that how could you question? This was the guy. We've said it before. I'll say it one more time here, that it was a real test in that era of free speech as well and the First Amendment. And it was a stress test for the First Amendment.
I think we kind of failed it, but we got to learn from the failure.
We did fail it, but we came out of it successfully because we still are now able to ask those questions. Like in the moment we were failing, but ultimately we prevailed.
Well, I think we're in a position to say that, but there are people who are not.
That's very true.
There are people who did not make it through this because the solution was so detrimental they didn't make it through.
Yeah.
Well, the more these Fauci texts come out, the more I'm going to want to talk about him. Because this guy, man, what a weasel. All right, stick around. We'll be right back with more Annie Frey Show in just a minute. Don't go away.
Of people at their hour of need, injuries on the job, car crashes, medical malpractice, and nursing home abuse, Social Security claims, dangerous drugs, and dangerous products. We became America's largest injury firm for a reason, and no firm is even close. Then we got to thinking, what if we could prevent these terrible events before they occurred? So we built the AI-powered People Protector. Simply visit peopleprotector.com and type in the product you have questions about before you buy it. Children's toys and accessories, cars, drugs, products, you name it, we got it. With our success, we decided to pay it forward for all of America. Our way of saying thank you for your trust all these years. Morgan & Morgan, protecting America. And if you've already been injured, just visit us at forthepeople.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
Meet Linda. She's stuck in traffic with hundreds of thoughts racing through her mind, like what she needs to pack for her family's vacation and what they still need from the store. But you know what she's not thinking about? Her HVAC system. Linda is a preferred partner with Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Installation. Members of our preferred partner plan get 2 HVAC system checks per year. We clean and inspect your AC and furnace at each visit. Partners also get priority service and exclusive discounts starting at just $19 per month. Life is chaos, but with Air Comfort Service, you'll have peace of mind with your HVAC system. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
Get ready, St. Louis. Rock legends 3 Dog Night are bringing their chart-topping hits live to the Factory. Hear the songs that defined a generation. Joy to the World, Mama Told Me Not to Come. One, live on stage Sunday, August 16th. Don't wait. Get your tickets now at thefactorystl.com. 3 Dog Night, live at The Factory, August 16th. Get your tickets now at thefactorystl.com.
Don't let tax refund worries hold you back. File now with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They'll find every credit and deduction to help you get every refund dollar you deserve, or your money back. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative. This segment of The Annie Frey
But as you know, I've been in this big tent party probably longer than most people, and I can tell you we're having the same kind of growing pains I saw on the Republican side, whether it was through the Tea Party in 2010, the activists who helped to bring about the MAGA movement.
And with all due respect to my friend Donna, there's nothing like, you can't draw any equivalence between the Tea Party movement and the socialists. For one, the Tea Party folks weren't trying to bring about the downfall of Western civilization and the United States of America. Abolish the police, abolish ICE, abolish borders, abolish the Senate, abolish the Constitution. There was nothing like this in the Republican Party. So it's an extreme political ideology that is gaining traction. The Democrat leadership has lost control. They know it. And people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Hong in Wisconsin, Abdul El-Sayed in Michigan. You talk about the big tent. The Democrat Jewish Attorney General of Michigan cannot even go to her party's nominating convention because she says, I won't be safe there because of the supporters of Abdul El-Sayed. You can't draw any equivalence between what happened in the Republican Party with the resurgence of patriot conservatives versus these anti-American radicals.
So I think that, okay, Scott Jennings, he doesn't miss. I haven't seen a miss by Scott Jennings. Incredible to have him here on the 97.1 FM Talk lineup. I know he's a regular guest with Mark Reardon. But when you've got Donna Brazile sitting on the CNN panel and saying Because like those types of Democrats right now, they have to address the donkey in the room. They have to. They can't push it out any longer for one of two reasons. They don't think that they can win with socialists, or they actually realize they're about to lose their party for good. I think they've been managing Nancy Pelosi.
They've been managing Nancy.
Nancy Pelosi was able to corral this. When she was the Speaker of the House, she was able to keep the Democrats, to keep their skeletons in the closet, to keep them in lockstep, to keep them in a position where, okay, we're going to figure things out behind closed doors, but we're going to have a unified approach to like anything. She didn't miss on that either.
Well, where she was good, they still are decent at holding together their coalition once elected. They can't figure out how to control their primaries.
No.
They're putting a lot of money behind semi-establishment candidates in these races, and they're losing.
Well, when you listen to Donna Brazile try to explain away the division, and of course, the BT, the Big Tent Party. That's you keep hearing that over and over and over again. The Big Tent Party, like if your tent has socialists in it, your tent's too big. I don't know how else to explain it to you. Who did I just hear say that earlier? That when you have a big tent, I think it was Joe Concha. Joe Concha was quoting Bill Maher, so I'm going to try to get the credit through the credit weave there, was saying when you have a big tent, sometimes you have the clowns. And right now, the clowns are taking over the show in the Democrat Party, but maybe this is, you want high propensity voters? Socialist supporters in these areas are going to be super motivated for this moment. This might be a flash moment in time where they actually have the opportunity to make some sort of difference in an election. When you've got your lead candidate for Senate in Michigan being a proud avowed socialist, that means that this part of the party has really covered some ground here.
Well, that's going to be the test, because in deep blue areas, socialists are getting elected in primaries, and then they just automatically win because they're in deep blue areas. That's what's going to happen. It's these races in places like Michigan, which skews Democrat for sure, except that Trump's been able to pull off that state 2 out of the last 3 elections. So it's possible for Republicans to win there, but it's not common for Republicans to win there. So that's why that's going to be such an interesting race, and why we're talking about it so much, is this El Said is so far left and so outside of sort of the mainstream of even Democrats that can a Democrat of that caliber, of the far left socialist progressives, win in a semi-swing state? That's the test.
Well, the YouTube poll for today is the Democrat Party exploding or imploding. Your options are exploding, imploding, or I gave you the option to say stagnant. We've got some YouTube comments to get to, and the text line is open, 314-241-9797. Brad, why don't we go to the YouTube comments here real quick? What do you got?
Yeah, this one is from Dr. Bob. He said, voted stagnant. I don't see Republicans rushing to become Democrats or Democrats rushing to become Republicans in large numbers. Afraid people are voting against people or parties and not for.
Okay. So, yeah, I said earlier about the 2016 election was not Hillary for me. And I was like, well, Trump can't do. Whatever Trump will do will be better than what Hillary would do.
It was that Supreme Court.
Yeah, you took
pick.
the words out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Mitch McConnell, who probably gave Donald Trump the pathway to victory by withholding Merrick frickin' Garland. Oh my gosh.
Merrick frickin'.
From being put on the Supreme Court or getting the vote to be on the Supreme Court. Gosh, Mitch McConnell, we owe that guy.
He's the best senator I've ever seen.
Have you seen him lately?
I haven't seen him lately.
I don't know.
I've seen a picture.
Boy, would you be national news if you did? At a
Listen,
Legion Airport in the last couple of weeks. Hey, man.
Is that Mitch McConnell?
Been riding Dumbo?
I'm Scott Jennings. From the text line, it says that it saddens me, this person, 3636, says it saddens me to see so many lifelong Democrats vote blindly. I believe they are what's keeping the Democrat Party alive. This says it is from Matthew. Hey, Ryan, this is Matthew. I can't vote on this because there's no such thing as a Democrat socialist. Those terms are diametrically opposed to each other. They should call themselves the oxymorons.
Or just for short, Oxy.
Right, because they're clean. They run clean, good elections.
Oh, I thought you meant like they're complexion.
No,
Were you an Oxy user in the 90s?
I was not.
Brad?
No.
OxyClean? That's what it's called, right?
I think so.
Was that the two doctors who were kind of young and hot, and they'd be on the infomercials, and they'd be like, hey, no, that was Procura.
No.
Remember that?
No.
Were those pads? Those
I don't even know if they were hot men or hot women. I'm assuming since you said it, they were men.
They were women. they were two young,
Hey,
hot
game
women.
recognizes game, Ryan.
No, it does
No?
not.
Okay, all right.
It definitely does not.
No?
Let's see. This one just says imploding. One word.
We'll allow it.
Thank you for your vote. And then lastly, this one just came in. It says they should give Fauci a permanent case of Cyclospora. That is from Jeff.
Your sentence is permanent explosive diarrhea.
Yes.
Enjoy. Yeah.
He's voting exploding.
Exploding. Man, I don't know. Do you have a strong opinion on this poll?
No, I don't, because imploding is what they're doing. That's what's happening.
Well, then
They don't know what to do. But the problem is imploding usually is something that happens and people notice later. Like the structure still stands, but all the furniture is falling apart inside. This is very public. So it's imploding, but it's like the whole thing. You can see it happening. That's what makes me think, well,
what
this
are the
is more
odds
like exploding.
that right now TMZ would be covering Mitch McConnell's presence, absence?
They were listening.
Man, we have our finger on the pulse
What the kids are interested
of
in.
the kids. Wait,
Kids
what?
love daytime TV.
I'll tell you what, Mitch McConnell looks pretty happy in that photo, that completely realistic photo of him. Let's take a quick break here. Sophie Cunningham conversation when we come back. Don't go away. The Retirement Advisory Group. You find them online right now, retirementkey.com. That's the website to go visit. But I am going to tomorrow, right? Tomorrow, yes, it's the 11th. How is it the middle of August already? My goodness, time flies. And maybe you've thought, gosh, time really flew. I would love to retire. I wonder if it's time. When you come to this event that's tomorrow, and I know that you can still get a space reserved. I'd love it if you called them and mentioned that you heard about it on the Annie Frey Show. That's like a personal nice thing you could do for me. When you call 314-993-9494, 314-993-9494, you can reserve your space at the Doubletree Chesterfield. It's in not so you're not in a room. It's just from 6:30 to like maybe not even 7:30. They have you out of the door by 7:30. Free event happening tomorrow at the Doubletree in Chesterfield. And you can answer questions that you have like, when can I afford to retire? How much income am I going to have in retirement? You've worked your tail off for this. Now's the time to get the answer so that you know when you move into retirement, you can do so with the peace of mind that you deserve. So if you have questions, if you want to learn more about the event that is happening tomorrow at the Doubletree in Chesterfield, just give them a call at 314-993-9494, 314-993-9494, and tell them Annie sent you. And I would love to see it. I'll get there at 6 o'clock. The event starts at 6:30. Come say hi. retirementkey.com.
We're going to talk about the WNBA next and Sophie Cunningham and many of the responses to some of the crazy stuff that's been happening this last weekend. Even though I was on vacation, I've been paying attention to that. Looking forward to this conversation coming up next. Also, vote in the YouTube live chat poll. Is the Democrat Party exploding or imploding? It is 2:33. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
JerryKelly.com. 250.
The Indiana fever star, Sophie Cunningham, she said, I got a lot of feedback, negative feedback about me hating trans. She didn't say she hates trans. She said, I am here to extend love, but I also think that love is truth and being honest. And I want to protect young girls in a locker room or young girls in sport who shouldn't have to go against biological men. Again, this is where about 80% of the country is?
And Martina Navratilova is and has been for a long time.
Right.
Prominent athlete and lesbian.
So you got Bill Maher speaking on this topic now. Sophie Cunningham coming out last week, was it, or whatever, and talking about how I love everybody. Everyone's welcome at my table, but girls' sports should be for girls. And she said that she thinks that with love comes truth and honesty, and so she said what she feels. She got assaulted this weekend in Chicago by Dejanay Carrington, and by now one of two things is true. You've seen the video because it's impossible to miss, or you have successfully avoided the video because you don't care. I'm gonna make a plea upon you, if you're not somebody who cares right now, to consider this the opportunity to actually care, to invest in this particular issue, because what's taking place in the WNBA is an absolute ground zero for the culture war. All of the things are there. And here's the thing. This is what bothers me the most, Ryan. You know that I was a four-sport athlete through my senior year of high school. I was a good athlete, but I wasn't anything special. Never even occurred to me to try to play in college. Didn't want to do that. But sports for me were so important for social connection, skills that you build that leave the basketball floor, or the volleyball court, or the softball field, or the track. Those are the four sports that I played. I take a lot of that into what I do for a living right now. And you know, understanding about preparation and hard work and being willing to outwork the people who are around you. Like, that is a mentality that I built, grew, examined by being an athlete. It's certainly not the only place that you can do that. I remember, I've said this before, I think, on the show, but my sophomore year, I went to Metro East Lutheran High School my freshman, my junior, my senior year. My sophomore year, I went to Edwardsville High School, and I participated in concert choir at Edwardsville High School. And Ryan, were you ever in a choir? Okay. Oh, wait, no, I know that one story.
At church,
they plucked you out of the congregation to sing bass.
At church I was once.
But that was...
That's it.
You got called from the bullpen, and you didn't know you were in the bullpen, right?
I volunteered to be in it, but I was one of only 3 bases, and I'm not really a true bass.
She's a bass. Well, do you appreciate good music?
Oh, I hate good music.
Okay, that's kind of what I thought. Anyway, when I participated in the concert choir, which was an incredible experience at Edwardsville High School, there were times where we were a collective voice, which is what a great choir is, and I couldn't believe that I was a part of it. I can sing, I can carry a tune, never was going to be a soloist, never was going to become a performer in music, but I can carry a tune, I can sight read music, but being in a concert choir where we maybe had 60, 70 kids.
That's a lot.
In high school. Oh, it's so big. We sang things like Danny Boy and Dies Irae from Requiem, which I think is Mozart, and just some of these other songs. And when you become a part of something like that, it's transcendent. You can't compare it to other things where you're doing it on your own. You can have success. You can achieve things that way. But being a part of something is important. And for girls, you know, a choir usually needs women like me who sing tenor and men like you who sing
Bass. Daddy saying bass.
Mom
Annie saying tenor.
And that was an affront to our listener. I apologize.
Look, when I sing Danny Boy and soprano, it is like the heavens open up.
It's like hell opens up. You want to be in a choir and you're a man or a woman?
Good job staying on track.
I couldn't even segue. I tried for a second and I was like, forget about it. We'll just move on. Now we're talking about it. Way to pull us back. If you're a woman and you sing bass in choir, you're going to sing bass.
What?
Do you know what I'm saying? Like if you had a great voice and you were a woman and you had a super
if you just happen to have a super low voice, they'd be like, well, then sing bass.
How many times? Like what is it? Is it pentatonics? Like one of the sopranos is a dude.
Probably. I don't.
It's a falsetto thing, but
Okay.
they do it. It's not like you're limited as to what you can do in a music capacity. I don't know that Title IX exists for concert choir. But you know what happens if you got a dude who can play basketball really well and he wants to play with the girls so he can dominate? They made a law that said, no, you can't do that. We have to separate these people. Why? Not for the boys, but for the girls. Man, Sophie Cunningham has brought a dozen mainline issues right now and wrapped them up into her story, and she hasn't backed down yet. I don't really care about her thoughts and opinions on any of these culture things. My favorite thing about Sophie Cunningham is that she has said, this is what I think, and she hasn't changed it. She hasn't couched it at all because the masses and the asses are out there trying to push her down. She hasn't budged a bit. She smiles, looks beautiful while she got a mouthful of blood this weekend, and she still looks great. And she hasn't backed down at all. Now you've got two people who are in the NBA, two men who are in the NBA who have declared for the WNBA draft next year. The WNBA came out this weekend and said, we're going to have a meeting to discuss who's eligible to play in the WNBA. This is the part that really gets me and it grinds my gears so much. Because when I was in high school, the WNBA existed. They had a red and white basketball. That was the WNBA game ball.
Okay.
Not red and white, orange and white. An orange and white basketball. That's how you do it. Was like a girl's ball. The girl's ball is smaller. Why? Because biologically, men's hands are larger than women's. The ball is smaller because there's a difference. What does a girl's ball look like in the hands of Enes Kanter Freedom? Like a tennis ball. What's he going to do with that thing? When I hope the Fever draft him so that he can be Sophie Cunningham's enforcer. Sophie Cunningham can continue to be Caitlin Clark's enforcer, and I will get another job to buy season tickets to the Fever. Can you imagine?
I'd pay to see every game if it was Sophie Cunningham. What's her name? Caitlin Clark.
Kelsey
Royce
Mitchell,
White.
And Enes Kanter. Yes.
As part of the starting lineup.
He only plays defense. He doesn't ever cross half court. He blocks every shot without leaving the ground. He's just swatting it away. It's probably all goaltending. But he just smacks the ball, and Caitlin Clark stands at the half court, shoots logo threes the whole time. It'd be the greatest show on earth. We should pay for this. Here's the part that pisses me off the most, though, and it really, really makes me mad because, yes, I've always been a girl, but I used to be an athlete. We can talk about whether or not I continue to be an athlete or not. I don't know when that goes away. But I'm raising 3 daughters. They're all going to be athletes. Some of them already are incredible athletes. There needs to be some common sense that is implemented here. When I was growing up and the WNBA became a thing, it was a joke. It was a joke to everybody. You're yawning so big.
I'm sorry. I had to hit the mic because I was trying not to.
It was such a joke to people. People made fun of it because it was girls playing basketball. But they kept playing. They kept the sport going because the NBA subsidized it because they decided, I think, it's important that girls know that you can keep doing this. But they had to draw parameters around it. And if you're a girl athlete who has loved the game of basketball, now there was something for you at the end. Other people didn't care about it. People always made fun of the WNBA. Caitlin Clark comes along and makes the WNBA, I think what we researched last time, the most profitable it's ever been. It's turned a profit for the first time last year.
It is the first time they've ever gotten to do a revenue share.
Just so
they didn't have revenue.
Randomly coincidental that Caitlin Clark's rookie year happened to be that same year. You've got this opportunity to bring people's eyes to a game because people are willing to watch girls basketball for it being girls basketball. They weren't watching it saying the boys do this and the girls do that. Some people were, but they have little brains. When you see people go, Caitlin Clark, man, that girl can really play. I want to see more of what she can do. They were watching girls basketball for the first time in my life. And you know who was like, nope, not at all. We still want to be a joke. The WNBA, the coaches, and the commissioner, and some of the morons who are playing basketball who somehow got there. Like Dejanay Carrington, do you know her parents are like ministers? No. She's had a Christian upbringing, private school, Stanford education, and she's out there. She is assaulting Sophie Cunningham. I don't know. Is it because she's white? I would think so, because the first reaction she comes out and says afterwards is race-based. Is it because Sophie Cunningham is heterosexual? I don't know. Maybe. They're the ones who make these things about this all the time. Is it because she said that girls' sports should be for girls? I don't know what it is, but somehow or another, Sophie Cunningham goes in for a layup, gets hooked around her arm, thrown to the ground, and nobody's talking about it. But guess what? Sophie Cunningham made the layup because she doesn't miss either. She continues to produce, golly, you see like an Angel Reese. Like, she doesn't make uncontested layups. Sophie Cunningham should have her offender in court, and she's like, yeah, I'll finish that shot. Put 2 on the board and 1 more from the line. This is a big story, not because I'm advocating for you to watch girls basketball. I'm advocating for common sense to win in the biggest, most profound way. And it ticks me off, but it is absolutely true that it is going to take everybody collectively saying, boys are better at basketball than girls, for the WNBA to stop being the joke, because they're making themselves the joke at this point. It boils my blood, but I'm here. I am all for it. Enes Kanter Freedom is doing more for girls right now than the WNBA ever has.
Okay, I just realized something as you were talking, and that is that all of these trans activists in the WNBA, whether they be the commissioner or coaches or players, have put themselves in the position where they are advocating for Enes Kanter Freedom and Royce White, former NBA players, to come and play against them.
They have to make a choice now.
They have to. It's so funny.
Or they have to draft them. They got to pick them.
Hey, get ahead of it. You know, it's just like the AI race.
Oh my god.
Just download ChatGPT now and accept that it's writing your term papers.
Man, keep it right here. We'll give you the results to today's YouTube poll when we come back. Don't go away. So how is the air conditioner working in your home? Is it doing okay? Has it kept up with the nasty heat that we've had here recently? Hopefully it has. If it hasn't, or if you think, gosh, I don't know if this is really working the way that it's supposed to, I'm going to tell you to call Air Comfort Service. I'm going to tell you to trust Corey Malone and his team like I have. I think he is a great guy. They have wonderful people at Air Comfort Service, but a service call to Air Comfort Service can be any time of day, any day of the week, any week of the year. 314-513-0091. That's 314-513-0091. They are going to provide you 24/7 emergency service so that you can get back into your comfort zone as soon as possible. When we had to make this phone call, they came out, they looked at our furnace, and they gave us the option to fix it and repair it, or the option to replace it. Of course, it was more expensive to replace it, but it made more sense to invest in a replacement than it did a probably temporary fix. So they gave us our options. We were able to choose what was right for us. You'd be able to do the same thing too. I just really encourage you to trust them, certainly the way that I have trusted them, because they're really great people and they do the absolute best work with decades and decades, like 60 years of experience here in the St. Louis area. Call them at 314-513-0091. That's 314-513-0091, online at aircomfortservice.com.
civilization, the future of human liberty. That is what is at stake in our world right now.
America 250 is sponsored by Paramount Men's Medical Center.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Do you have burning, tingling, or numbness in your feet, hands, or legs? Is neuropathy making it harder to walk safely, forcing you to watch every step, grip railings, or live with the fear of falling? If you've been told there's nothing that can be done for neuropathy, that isn't the full story. At Comprehensive Integrative Healthcare, we don't just label symptoms. We evaluate the underlying factors that may be contributing to nerve dysfunction. Our focus is helping reduce neuropathy symptoms, improving balance, and supporting better daily function, so you can stay active and independent longer. Most people don't realize neuropathy often progresses over time, and when it worsens, symptoms can become more limiting and more difficult to manage. Imagine being able to walk with more confidence again, sleep without burning or tingling waking you up, and stop constantly worrying about your next step. Right now, we're offering a free neuropathy consultation to determine if you may be a candidate for care. Call now to schedule your appointment at 636-538-5188. That's 636-538-5188. Don't wait until symptoms get worse. Call 636-538-5188 today.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. So we've been talking about the Democratic Party today. I just don't feel like other than the socialists that are out there right now, I'm not seeing a ton of people who are thinking like, oh gosh, the Democrat Party is really popping at this point in time. It doesn't seem as though they're heading in a unified direction. They keep talking about a big tent, but it seems as though that tent's being ripped apart in the middle. 314-241-9797. If you would like to text us real quick before we get you the results to that YouTube live chat poll, is the Democrat Party exploding or imploding? You said you had a couple more texts?
Yeah, well, it says that, please, I feel like I'm in trouble, and I like the WNBA. I like that text.
Sorry.
Here, hey, I'm going to let you address this one, Annie.
Okay.
It says, I like the show for the most part, but Annie, need to bring it down. She's way too hyper.
Okay. Sorry.
All right?
Okay.
Bring it down.
Is there anybody who's talking about the poll and not criticizing me?
Oh, these are the last few that came in.
You never read the text from the people who criticize you.
This one says, you're right, I don't.
Don't read them.
I won't. Don't worry. If the Democrats are imploding, America is exploding. Conversely, if the Democrats are exploding, America is imploding. That's from Randy. But that's sad, too, because if you have a whole party, roughly half of the country now, which I wouldn't say it's 50% that are full socialists, but at least 50% of that 50% is, so 25. If you have half of the country to 25% of the country that really does believe that we can fix our problems through socialism, and not just because it's a conservative talking point, but socialism is a huge problem in the history of the world.
Actually, it's never been the solution to a problem in the history of the world.
Yeah, that's the thing, is it always exacerbates the problems it tries to fix. And so we're not just railing on this because it's like, oh, today, there's a socialist who's going to be the Michigan primary winner for the Democrats. We're concerned that this ideology has really infiltrated America, And we don't want to go down the same road. We've always been better than that.
Well, referring to Steve Moore's conversation with us at 105, which you can check out on the Annie Frey Show podcast, he was talking about how, if you've got young men who don't want to go to work, who don't want to participate basically in society, if they feel as though things are unaffordable, did they stop going to work and things became less affordable, or were they busting their butt at work and things were still not affordable, and so maybe they've lost their job, maybe they all worked in government, I don't know, because those jobs are minimizing. But if there is an unaffordability issue that is facing Americans or a generation of Americans right now, there have to be solutions that are provided. And if the rights solution is let's make it more advantageous for companies to grow so that they can do better hiring and become more competitive in the work environment. That is one option that requires the person to go, yeah, I'd like to get a piece of that. I'd like some of that. Let me give it a shot and see if I can pull that in. Or the other side goes, you shouldn't have to pay for health care. You shouldn't have to pay for those student loans that you took out from the American taxpayer because, really, what have you gotten for it? You shouldn't have to pay that back. You should have help. The housing should not be expensive. In fact, you should probably be given a place to live. And you know what? Food's too expensive. So what if let's just provide a grocery store where you can buy discounted goods? So if you're sitting there and you're not, kicking butt at life and you're 25, you might think to yourself, what? Kind of sounds nice.
Mm-hmm. And I'll take a step back a little bit further and say that it is socialist policies, although they wouldn't have called them that at the time, that come in and go, let's spend more. And that's the Democrat way of doing everything is let's spend more, let's make government bigger. They don't call it always socialism, but that's what it is. And it makes everything they spend on more expensive. So all of the industries you just talked about, college, higher education, healthcare, this will happen on a small degree with groceries in New York City. These things just become more expensive when you put government money into them because government money is unlimited. And it makes everything outside of that more expensive because we've spent too much money.
Well, if you're of the mind that perception is reality and the left is offering free stuff to young people, that's motivating.
It is in the moment.
Yeah, well, all they need is a moment.
That's all you need.
An election
You're
day
right.
or an election season. So the Republicans are going to have to do something that is better. So the challenge is there that you're trying to beat something that isn't actually even real, but just feels good in the moment. Before we get to the results here, is the Democrat Party exploding or imploding or stagnant? Brad, what's your answer?
I think it's imploding. I think the Democrat Party is becoming something that Democrats don't recognize anymore.
It's
imploding.
Imploding?
Yeah, I don't think it's beyond repair, but it's getting pretty close.
What do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, it's imploding. And the only thing that will stop it is if they lose those swing seats that they're electing socialists in.
I would say imploding as well. Y'all voted 76% agree with us, imploding, 14% say exploding, and 11% say stagnant. That's pretty interesting to me that there's a pretty overwhelming response there saying the same thing as we do. But we'll have to see. And again, perception being reality, the Republicans have to have an answer that pulls people into the polls to vote. And maybe socialism is the motivating factor there for them as well. Thanks for being with us. Mark Reardon, coming up next.
Or relative. Just make sure you can afford it.
You should not be giving of yourself and of your assets unless you